What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 12 MP Chapter 296 Mysterious Man. After putting it down, he went straight to see Terumi Mei. Because the purpose of their trip is Terumi Mei. If Terumi Mei was killed by the mysterious man, then their mission is almost a failure. But Hokage will not let him die, although the current Hokage is not as strong as before. But he is at least a very patient Hokage. Tsunade, known as one of Sannin. Tsunade's strength is different from other ninjas, he is a medical ninja. In the face of any injury, he can easily heal the other party, even if it is a dead person. He can use the mysterious power to forcibly inject chara into him, so that he can be brought back to life. 06 With such powerful medical skills, he has a good reputation in the ninja world. Even the former Raikage once looked for him, wanting him to heal the bomb on his body and remove it completely. But Tsunade is also a temperamental person. His village has been invaded by Raikage after all, so when he sees his enemy want to ask himself for healing. The first thing to do is to refuse, because he is unwilling to heal his enemy, which is equivalent to killing the ninja in his own village. But it is not one of his goals as a doctor to guarantee his own purpose, so he finally decided to save. But there must be a premise, that is, the wrench. What he originally thought was not to let the other party find any excuse for him. Advertisement let him be forcibly treated, he can't make trouble unreasonably. But he could make things difficult for him, so he said that if Raikage could beat him on the wrench, he would start the treatment right away. If not, then Raikage should go where he should go. If it is death, it has nothing to do with him. Raikage is a belligerent man when he heard the news. He was excited for the first time, because in his opinion Tsunade had no strength at all, and the flesh on a weak woman was probably not enough. What kind of strength can he have against him with a heavy wrist? He seems to have guessed the ending of this game. It doesn't seem to be making things difficult, but only Tsunade knows that he has refused to know the other side, because he has a strange power that is incomprehensible to ordinary people, and that strange power is different from what other people think. His strength is very strong, and it is easy to break stones with one punch. During the battle, I don't know how many people have eaten his strength. Such a terrifying power can be regarded as invincible when facing the enemy, not to mention that Raikage actually looks at the current situation. The power he cultivates is the speed that increases his speed to a very high level throughout the whole process. No one in the ninja world can compete with him, except for the Namikaze Minato, which was once called the Yellow Flash. Minato's speed is indeed the fastest in the world, but he can no longer be called speed, it is a teleportation, a short time teleport yourself to another place in time. He did not lie down in the middle, so the patient felt that his speed was very fast. In fact, it was just time ninjutsu. The real fast person was Raikage. He really ran over, not like Namikaze Minato moved over, but no matter what he said, he was considered to have reached the destination. If so, he was considered to be very fast, but in terms of running speed, he was no match for Raikage at all. Raikage has absolute confidence in the project of wrench. He knows how strong his wrench is. Although his strength is not one of the best in software, he is also very strong and can completely crush the opponent, but he does not thinking that the person he is going to meet now is the strongest in the ninja world. If he is 517 in the second, no one dares to be the first. Tsunade looked at Li Ying with a confident smile on his face. He knew that he had already winning the opponent, although he looks big and thick, and his body size is more than several times his, but he is still not his opponent. Because his strange power cannot be explained that it was taught to him by Shi Gulan. If other people want to compete with him, then they must go to the same place to get a strange power to get around, but this is impossible. There is no way for humans to compete with gods. The power they just get is divine power, so at the beginning of the game, Nehi Raikage tried his best, but he couldn't shake the wrist of the steel hand. He didn't know why this a woman's strength can be so great, but if he can't win, the bomb in his body that was planted by the Earth Spider family can be dismantled. Chapter 297 Simple requirements. It doesn't matter if he died, it's just because his servants were planted with this bomb. If he wants to save his servants, then he must be kind to Tsunade, who has followed him for a long time. He couldn't just abandon it so simply, so he continued to bow down like this, but he didn't expect such a simple request from the other party. He couldn't do it. Even the best wrench was not the opponent's opponent. Seeing himself, Raikage's face was about to lose his face. He had no choice but to cheat and use the power of thunder and lightning to gather all his strength on his arms. Because of the extremely fast speed, he used his strength many times in an instant. Before Tsunade was not paying attention, he immediately accelerated the movement of his wrist, and suddenly pressed Tsunade on the table. Tsunade was a little surprised because he didn't pay attention at all. Before he started to exert force, the other party took advantage of his reaction power, but after all, his hand was pressed on the table by him. Helped Raikage heal his wounds and defuse the bomb in his body. But in terms of power, Raikage is still ashamed, because he understands that he has lost from the beginning. His power is not worth mentioning compared to him, but in the end he still wins, although it is by relying on he tried to cheat and win, but it was true, there was no way, as long as the other party broke it, there would be some between the two of them saying that Tsunade wasn't the kind of person who wouldn't let the other party down, so he immediately laughed out Ning Jia. The operation was performed on the other side, and the two have formed a friendship since then, and now they are taking care of each other on this battlefield, not letting the other side hurt him in the slightest. Now that the mysterious man has been solved by Raikage, Raikage feels that there is nothing worth talking about next. At this level, he should be broken through. It would be nice if everyone could be as relaxed as him, but what he never expected was that when he leaned over to check Terumi Mei's situation and found that Terumi Mei was unscathed, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. He thought that Terumi Mei was exhausted from fighting with the opponent. He was about to win, and he was considered to have grabbed ahead, but Terumi Mei was not injured at all, and even had a lot of physical strength and Shirela on him. In this case, why would such a mysterious person fall down so easily? This is not in line with the rules of this battlefield. It stands to reason that this battlefield should be an upgraded battlefield. Layer after layer of bosses should be more powerful than the last boss. Now that this guy has been killed so easily, doesn't it mean that he is underestimating the enemy? Or that this guy didn't die at all? Looking at Tsunade's surprised expression, Reikage suddenly bent back to look, and sure enough, the mysterious man stood up again. Although his heart was said to have been pierced, he didn't know what kind of diligence he was doing. The cause was quickly repaired again, and a new heart was programmed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Is this a ghost? Tsunade said. Reikage also became serious. He knew there was going to be another bad fight, and at first they were right to hesitate to fight, because this mysterious man was obviously waiting for them to show up. He obviously has the ability to not die, but still slowly circle with Terumi Mei, not torturing him to death, obviously waiting for someone to come and save Terumi Mei. He is making a circle around the point, so it is clear that Reikage and Hokage both fell for each other. But since they were fooled, they simply fought hard to the end. Anyway, there was no police situation, so they could get out of the siege, and there was no way to rush out of this battlefield. They had been thinking about leaving for a long time, because most of their men and troops have been depleted, but now they have no way to continue fighting, so retreating is the best choice, although they say that they will never retreat, and they must fight to the end, but in fact, they still know how much they have, and how long they can continue to fight, they're also clear. The guy in front of him stood up again, like immune to death at all, not to mention Reikage Tsunade. Also, Li Dezhou hates such guys, whether it is them, everyone hates such enemies, no matter what. It's how you kill them, they just don't die, and they get more and more aggressive, and they even come up with new tricks to deal with you. You can learn all your weaknesses and strengths while fighting you slowly, and avoid your strengths and beat your weaknesses, so that if they drag on for a long time, their end will definitely be a death. Death is not scary, the fear is that everyone will die. If everyone is dead, then the meaning of their coming to this battlefield is very ridiculous, which is equivalent to giving people their heads. So what should we do? Reikage frowned. Chapter 298 Fighting Alone. Tong Mo originally fought with one person, but now suddenly two people came, adding up to 3 people. Fighting with 3 people, although it would be effortless to say, would make him feel that the matter was too serious, because he didn't have the idea of destroying this woman's pure second, and so on. If you do, then everything will be under his control, and the enemy's every move will be under his surveillance, but he didn't expect the other party to send reinforcements so quickly. Obviously he got this woman's position. Tong Mo didn't know what was so valuable about this woman. She was actually worthy of the other party's reinforcements and came to rescue, but there was no way to do it. It was the same as all the enemies he had fought against before. If a person was given to the enemy by the enemy, if he is killed, his allies will definitely send someone to help, because they think that if they are hurt, they also want other allies to come to the rescue. But the usual result is that everyone is annihilated by his tongue, but now he doesn't want to do that, because if he kills all these people now, the ninja coalition will immediately turn its attention. Come here, and feel that the matter has become too serious to handle, and at that time they will all hold each other's determination to fight him, which is really not worth it. When he was in the back, he had already seen the 3 of the tops being beaten to death by these guys with immortal consciousness. To be honest, he was not like the brainless guy who felt that the heroic death was his own. The biggest reward, he feels that if you can live, you can live. He has always upheld this kind of thought, even the sect he once founded is the same, and has always maintained the number of people at 250, no more, no less. In this way, you can ensure your best interests, and at the same time, to a certain extent, you have to hide yourself well and not be found by anyone. Tong Mo felt that the hardest thing to deal with was being found by someone, because once found, the troubles would come one after another. He wasn't afraid to deal with those troubles, he just felt that if all those troubles were crowded and when it hit him on the head, it would make him feel very distressed. If it is said to deal with one by one, wait until he has rested before dealing with the next sudden, he feels very orderly, so that in any subsequent period of time, he can try to maintain this good state, and you can also make yourself a better experience. That's right, it's the experience of fighting. He hasn't fought many battles all the time, because most of his things are left to him. If he does it for himself, he is a tower of trees and doesn't interfere in anything. This is also true. As a result, he has always had no concept of other things, and always felt that the difficulty of his feat was too difficult. If it happened to his head, then he must not bear the risk, AGCG, so he underestimated it. This is the case with extreme caution these days. In fact, the opponent who can actually fight easily also thinks that you cannot be underestimated, so you plan to take all your strength, but you feel that the opponent is also a generation of masters who can fight with you. You may be arrogant and feel that you are nothing more than that. If you deal with your enemy, you may be more courageous. This is a bonus option for them. That's right, but it's not so good for Tong Mo. Tong Mo never thought of fighting against these people, but the people behind him always insisted on coming over. With a high status, he had to do this thing, and he had to take these things to the table to do it. Once others felt that he was fearful and cowardly, they would question his status. Not only them, but even the masters behind him might dismiss him. He was so submissive, so this battle dragged on for a very long time, longer than all the previous ones. He can already imagine the master behind him. What kind of attitude is he now? He must be impatient. But things didn't go as he expected. Yi Lin was still watching the battle scene from behind at this moment. To be honest, he just glanced at it occasionally and didn't pay too much attention, but judging from the current battle scene, Tong Mo he has already fought with the three shadows in front of him. Although he knows that the result must be the victory of the Ninja Alliance, he still wants to see how long this Tong Mo can drag the fight to, because he can't see it no matter what. The spirit of any strong man is not like a ghost with strong strength, but more like a trooper. Chapter 300, Auto-generated chapter title. Chapter 299. Although the police couldn't kill him for a while, but he didn't seem to have the means to directly kill the opponent, so it was so boring all the time, but it was boring. It was also very interesting. Yi Lin watched him fight with the opponent in an extremely cautious manner, while secretly having fun in his heart, feeling that this Tong Mo was really invincible. The first few people are fighting directly, not dragging the opponent, especially the third one. His battle can be said to be extremely fast and the opponent starts directly without any hesitation, but this one in front of him. However, Tong Mo was extremely hesitant. Not only did it take a long time to kill a person, but he also waited until he was rescued. Once there was rescue, the battle would last forever. In this case, Yi Lin couldn't wait to tell the truth, but he still didn't want to interfere in Tong Mo's battle. It was if Tong Mo suddenly swelled up because of his interference and directly annihilated the entire ninja army, then at that time he would have disappeared for nothing. All he wanted now was that Tong Mo could lie down. But it is absolutely impossible to win, and it has to make the opponent suffer, that is, a bloody battle. This is the best result, and the result he wants. For this reason, he did not hesitate to let Tong Mo drag him here all the time without interrupting him, but he did not expect Tong Mo to drag on more and more outrageous time. Not only it has been dragged for about 2 hours now, and he wants to continue dragging down. Originally, he had already thought that he had to send the next ghost no matter what. If the next ghost is the same as the current one, if the ghosts go to the junction, then the war should end soon, and the opponent should be defeated by me immediately. But when he saw Tong Mo continue fighting, he knew that this guy was a foreign worker. That's right, he actually had a puppet of a foreign worker, as if he knew that his master was staring at him from behind. Stop. Once the master felt impatient, he immediately came up with an advanced attack method to make the opponent suffer a big loss, but he would soon be countered by the opponent. In this way, such tugs and pulls make people feel very irritable, but maybe this is also his way of fighting. After exhausting the opponent's physical strength bit by bit, Yi Lin thinks that maybe his plan can be realized earlier. That's right, relying on Tong Mo's pulling tactics. Doesn't he like pulling? Then let him pull, and while pulling the enemy, it can also consume their physical strength. If there is no physical strength, then there will be no chara that they are proud of. Without chara, they are not a ninja. If you can't use ninjutsu, then it is equivalent to a waste, but it is just a few flower fists and embroidered legs. It is equivalent to a pool of mud in front of his other puppets, so he thought about not paying attention to this battle and letting Tong Mo develop freely. He took out an alarm clock from somewhere, and Yi Lin set the time and decided to watch the battle 2 hours later. If Tong Mo still didn't have any progress, then he would force Tong Mo to die, and put him to death. The first brother deliberately sent one of the strings, the most powerful ghost. 0. Well, after setting the alarm clock, he began to rest, and he didn't want to be disturbed by any further. Of course, if Tong Mo was defeated before that, or the Ninja Alliance was completely defeated by Tong Mo, rich and good. My own people, let them reflect on themselves when the battle progresses. Others are very patient and know what their boss is talking about. Immediately sleep at ease. He has been fighting with the enemy for a long time and his physical strength is gradually exhausted, and when he is fighting with the enemy, he will be seen by the local people within 2 or 3 seconds. The most important thing now is to rest. I don't think about the police anymore. Yi Lin now feels that he is in control of everything, so he sleeps peacefully, but when he opens his eyes, he finds that Tong Mo has already obtained the staged victory. Yes, on the current battlefield, Reikage has been completely defeated, and led Tong Mo cut off an arm. That's right, Reikage, who has lost an entire arm, is equivalent to a waist, although he has another arm, but the attack power is far less than before. Compromise, he is still using other means to attack, such as using his head, other hand and his own legs, but when his limbs are healthy, he can't beat Tong Mo. Now how can he use his 2 legs to compete with AII chapter 300 can't contest? So soon he was defeated and fell to the ground. Receiving Tsunade's treatment, Tsunade didn't think Reikage would say. He always thought that this guy was so strong, he should have the absolute upper hand in the battle with the place, and then completely crushed him, pressing the opponent under his hand, and he would never be able to move, but he never thought that the opponent was not only not being held by him, not only that, but instead he was pressed against his own. The subordinate, not so much a subordinate, as the fan up and down seems to have a kind of magic power. Once instigated, a wind that can freeze other, May 17th. Things will be removed from it, and once someone touches it, it will coagulate together with his flesh and blood, which has failed to Reikage. He has no way to be immune to this attack, because once he rushes up, he has to withstand this kind of wind, so if he wants to fight next, he must rely on a person who can attack at a distance, and only Terumi may. Terumi may is Mizukage, and most of his numbers are long range, such as water dragon bullets, etc., and then launch them on the enemy's body, which can bring serious impact disasters to the place. In this way, it can also make the place there is no way to counterattack, only blindly can defend. But in this way, these two rescues seem to be of no use. He ran over in a hurry, as if he was holding back Terumi May. Terumi May didn't think much about it. He had been in a state of close quarters with the opponent since the beginning. Now his two reinforcements have fallen, and he is fighting with the opponent. He is still in a state of evenly matched power, so it sounds ridiculous, but he honestly still thinks everything is okay. As long as he can keep fighting, to be honest, nothing else matters, not to mention that he now has two reasons to protect this person, and he has no fighting power. He needs him to protect Tsunade, knowing that he is far from being the enemy. The opponent, and his own fighting style did not have any advantage, so when Terumi May fought with the local, he immediately ran to the camp of the Ninja Alliance. Others reported the situation there. The army should open immediately, towards Terumi May. Tongmo panicked. He had never thought of disturbing the Ninja Coalition forces, and now suddenly the Coalition forces are suddenly disturbed, so he must quickly fight and kill the woman in front of him, but after all, he has always been on the full strength attack. In this state, the enemy can still withstand it without slackening in the slightest. In this case, he is honest, there is really no way to instantly defeat the enemy, but he can't watch the enemy's army own face. If he waits until they arrive, then he will be in a state of being surrounded, and then he will have to fight alone with many of them, and then he will be distracted, and distraction will cause if he makes too many mistakes, he may be laughed at by the masters behind him. The most unbearable thing for him is this. He doesn't like to be watched, because he has always been very lonely, from a single existence. 9. His parents also didn't let him play with the police children, because they knew that their children were different from other children, such as his colorful hair and delicate eyes, but these are plain, it is all false. If a person has a genetic mutation, he may also have colorful hair and delicate eyes. This does not determine anything, but this is also due to some wrong decisions of his parents, so he is now withdrawn. A character 0. In the face of anything, he is in a state of cowardice, there is no way, and no one can enlighten him, so he has always been very regrettable, thinking that he should not be like this all his life, but it is indeed true. No one can control him, and his current strength does not allow other people to make irresponsible remarks about him. He has always been in a lonely state, and he has a lot of people under him. The puppets are very obedient and won't say anything unfavorable to him, so he has been alive and very simple and calm. But until he turned into a ghost, his master would often make irresponsible remarks about him, thinking that he was not good here or there, but he was still a celestial being after all, a celestial successor 2.6, and he had to give it to him. Due to his due status, he was able to reach the second position of the upper limit and was very contemptuous of other ghosts. But this still can't fill the gap that other people make irresponsible remarks about him. If anyone talks about him behind his back, he will feel that the local is talking bad about him, so he will kill the local, even if they plead for mercy in every possible way, but they will not be pardoned. Some people say that he is very cruel, but in fact only he himself understands why he became like this, but what can he do if he understands? Chapter 301. He is no longer there, the past history has let it pass, just like a book and turning pages, turning page by page. Everyone is a different existence from yesterday, and some people will die because of some things, but this after all, it has nothing to do with him. He has no sympathy, nor does he feel that the other party is very pitiful. He has always felt that if he can make himself a very good life, it is a very rare thing to be happy, so why bother to seek anything else, so he has always been like this. Going on its own, it will gradually evolve into the current character. The enemy's army has already come over, and now I have no choice but to defend against his 06s and gather them together to fight. So he finally got serious, the fan in his hand suddenly moved forward, and Yishan sent all his puppets to the battlefield at the same time to fight the enemy. Although the number of his puppets was not many, Yelan's fundamental it can't be compared, but its quality is very high, and the ninja coalition is now in a state of being dragged down. Even if a group of pigs is sent by the locality, they have to catch them for 3 days and 3 nights. What's more, Tong Mo's puppet was accumulated since he was a child. He became a ghost a long time ago, so he has always used the power of ghosts, perhaps because of his seniority or other reasons. Such a high status, but this also makes him unshakable in the status. The ninja coalition has fallen into a hard fight again. I don't know how many times. They seem to be a little tired and no longer want to fight with each other seriously. This makes them feel very tired. Once they fight, they will make themselves very tired. Numbness, but this is also a very good thing, because they are no longer afraid. If a person is often frightened, then sooner or later he will feel that he has nothing to fear, because after seeing too many things, it will become boring. If you are too scared, it will be the same ghost. If you watch it for the first time, you will feel very scared, but after watching it many times, you will feel that he is nothing more than that, and you will even feel that the vegetable leaves between his teeth are very scary. It's funny, so in the face of danger, if you don't know how to deal with it once, you will panic and feel that everything is over, so you will be desperate, but if you know how to avoid danger, and you have full confidence that you can turn a defeat into a victory, so you will become very brave and make others look at it. Now the benevolent coalition is like this. He is already numb to the battle, but this is also equivalent to having already after being trained to hang out. A strong mentality is actually one of the most important reasons for a veteran to be more powerful than recruit. Because he is no longer afraid, many things will not go wrong. The theory is there for you to read. Everyone has seen it, but what can be done is actually a very small part. Anyway, almost all of the very few have experienced death. They understand that what the theory says is yes, but if you really want to do it, you must act, and if you want to act, then you must cross the border of death. You don't have any fear of death anymore, so this action is just a child's play for you, and a child's play for everyone. Zhang Mo is also the same. From the beginning, he felt that killing was very cruel, and now he thinks that killing is very reasonable. In fact, it was also hooked by experience, but the environment of experience was different, and the dungeon of brushing was also different. It's different. Today's ninja coalition is very powerful in combat. In the face of the puppets sent by Tong Mo, they were not at all cowardly, and they were able to kill them all with ease. Watching their puppets being cut off one by one, they understood that since 517, the trend has gone, but he couldn't surrender, because once he surrendered, what awaited him would not only be death, but he would likely be enslaved, and all the information would be taken out, and at that time he might be punished. If once tortured, there is no way for him to be reborn again, because if a person suffers and then dies, it is actually a very happy thing, because his IQ can save him from the pain in the future, but as a ghost boy, it is different. If he is tortured, he will be reborn immediately after he dies, and he will be reborn by them. At that time, he will face eternal torture, and he will suffer the most. The only thing that doesn't work is torture. So he desperately tried to imagine fleeing the battlefield, but in the next second, he was pierced by a sharp sword in his heart and fell to the ground, unable to regenerate until he withered and died. Chapter 302 Threats. What's going on? How did he die? Tsunade didn't understand why the guy in front of him died so quickly. Obviously they didn't cause any substantial damage to him, so he was defeated now, but to be honest, they couldn't do anything to him after all. If they wanted to continue fighting, they would definitely lose. Now use all the strength of everyone, and then defeat him, so he should only be a temporary failure, and then he just needs to regroup and fight again. Why he died so easily, Tsunade can't understand, but at the same time he also understood why it was different from the guys before. The previous guys are all very powerful and have high attainments in combat. Ordinary people can't get into them at all, and they will also be completely suppressed by them. Not only that, they want to kill them, they also have to pay a very high price. In this case, they will also pose some threats to all the Ninja Alliance forces to some extent, making the Ninja Alliance army attenuated very seriously, but now it seems that this person should be the weakest of these guys, because he is the weakest, so he did not support for too long, and was easily solved by the Ninja Coalition. But what other people didn't expect is that this is not arranged according to rank. Should he be ranked later, should he be followed by Rhyme earlier, or should he be ranked higher and higher after him? Level, but why send someone stronger than him in front of him? This made them unbelievable. Seeing that Tong Mo was already dead on the ground, the Jonin Coalition forces immediately surrounded it badly, and wanted to check his injuries, but found that the moment he died, immediately it turned into a crevice and the rotten corpse gradually disappeared. What happened? What about his corpse? If he is dead, then his corpse should be here now, right? But he not only has no corpse, but also disappears completely. If he disappears completely, then the Ninja Coalition will have no way to live as a master, any exact information about them and why. It always felt that there was a bigger conspiracy behind him, but they didn't know what the conspiracy was. For this reason, they decided that if someone similar to him appeared next to fight them, then they will definitely take stronger measures, although they will still fight the enemy with immortal determination, but they will be careful to capture the opponent alive and extract any information from his mouth. If they can extract anything useful news, then I am still a relatively good thing. At least I can get twice the result with half the effort in the following battles. Because there is no information barrier, they are more able to rely on the enemy to fight with ease. Even if the enemy takes some firm measures against him, they can resist at the first time. If they fight, then they will definitely have the upper hand, and if they have the upper hand, then it is likely that they will always be in the upper hand state, and they will always be in the dominant state. If so, then no one can fight with them. Then in the next few battlefields, they will become invincible. If their army is invincible, then it will definitely be a good thing rather than a bad thing, and they know what a bad thing looks like. Now that Tong Mo's body has completely disappeared, the Ninja Allied forces can't guess what kind of guy the man behind him is. In this case, you can continue to challenge new bosses. The new boss will definitely bring them new information. Just in case, they decided that this time they must be ready and go again. Just like the previous times, they put all the sources of the wounded who could not fight here. The first floor, because they understand that if they do not take the initiative to fight, then the battlefield will also take the initiative to change. By that time all the wounded will be mercilessly killed by the opponent. Li Dezhou. It is better to be killed than to be killed, leaving them on the now safe layer and letting him continue. He has clearly felt that the murderers behind him must be thinking such a plan to let the Ninja Coalition continue to weaken his combat effectiveness. Until the last moment, he was standing up to give them the fatal blow. However, this can also make them have a reason and can analyze these guys who weaken their combat power, although they are strong, but they are not absolutely invincible. The guy behind him needs these guys to consume their combat power, so also that is to say, his strength is not too outrageous to hold such an idea. Chapter 303 The Protracted Battle. They decided that they must fight with more confidence in the future. No matter how strong the opponent is, they must fight resolutely, so that the opponent can show their attitude that they will never surrender and their fighting power that will never be overwhelmed. Chances are that the other party will clearly feel their sameness, and thus boarding the battlefield ahead of time will not weaken their combat effectiveness. Although it is a protracted battle, the ninja coalition has hope to win. Now it is different from before. To be honest, on this battlefield, although their physical strength will continue to be depleted, but I don't know if it will happen. For what reason? If they win the opponent on this battlefield, then all the chara consumed by themselves will be returned immediately. I don't know what the reason is. Why should they return their chakra? But if this is the case, they can reuse all the ninjutsu from the last battle 517 in the next battle. Even if the opponent challenges them, they can still continue to face the enemy in perfect condition, but the same as before, if the wounded or sick suffers a knee injury or is killed by the opponent, then they will feel that there is no way to recover, and the wounded will not be able to recover successfully unless Tsunade uses he was treated by his medical ninjutsu. But that would also drain their chara, but that's better than never being able to heal the wounded. The continuous fighting has kept them in a depressed state mentally, but physically they have always been in a perfect state. As long as the boss is resolved, they can continue to fight. They have always been in a state of just entering the battlefield, that state at that time. When they first entered the battlefield, their self-confidence, AGCG, was very sufficient, and they felt that no one could defeat Yun and their powerful troops, but until they were suppressed by the enemy's various powerful offensive forces, they would again I feel that I have no power, and I have no way to save everything, and I can only passively bear it all. But they actually didn't have any district police from the beginning. As for why they are more and more voted, it is because they mentally feel that their bodies are very infantile, but their bodies are not attacked. This is in there, it has been verified in battle. No matter how they release the ninjutsu, as long as the enemy can be dealt with, then their ninjutsu will immediately recover, giving them all their chara as if they were starting over, and facing the next battlefield with perfect posture, but their dead companions will disappear forever, there will be gains and losses, it is better than always, there is no way to fight the enemy. It was a very sad thing. They always felt that a cowardly guy is not the most tragic. A guy who dare not fight is the saddest, he has no way to save himself. He has lost everything, what they have can't keep it. In this case, they will be in a state of constant loss. Once they continue to lose, the enemy will be even more unscrupulous towards him. If a person has no strength and cannot protect what he has and wants to have, he will sooner or later fall into a doom. From the beginning, they felt that such words would bring themselves into a desperate situation sooner or later, so they have been exercising themselves, honing their hearts and bodies hard to deal with the future battles again, and so on. Come, it may cause the ninja world to be so chaotic to some extent, but they at least protect their people in such a cruel world. For me, my own life is not important. If I can protect people when I die, then they will definitely choose to do so one by one. No matter which village the ninja is, it is the same, but ironic is that not so many of them deserve their protection. There are also many people who ridicule them and feel that their death is worthless, only they feel that their death is very honorable. But what is there to say? In the whole world, bad people occupy a part. Then it will lead to more bad people to appear, because there are not so many people who can stick to themselves. Those who successfully stick to themselves do more things, live in this environment. I have received a good education since I was a child and understand that no matter what I do, I can't drive the accident to other people, but when they encounter a disaster, they will be affected by various aspects and may die. Continuing to fight may also make him lose the people he loves one after another. Chapter 304. The world is a big dye vat. This is a tragedy after another, but to put it bluntly, who would want to do this? Because the world has been polluted, just like a dye vat. If a drop of ink is put into it, then the whole vat of water will be emptied. Dying in pitch black, everyone will have selfish thoughts, so the world will be chaotic, because there are always more good people than bad people. In order to protect what they want, they have to fight, but to be honest, it is to protect, but in fact, it is more a matter of position. Because people's positions are different from their own, they must fight. People who need to fight, don't understand anything, and shout that they must be peaceful are very stupid, because they don't know that a person lives in a place where there is no food or drink, and they have no choice but to wring other people for it. Begging, but they are just born in a relatively wealthy place and have plenty of food and clothing, so they feel that you are a very bad person. In the face of your lack of respect, even if you ask him to beg for food, he will feel that he is a poor beggar who has no respect for your heart. But if you are going to fight him, use force to force him to cross the grain, then they will fear you, so they will give you the grain in their hands to save their own lives, for which you have infinite hatred for him, and he also has an incomparable hatred for you, so the hatred has been accumulating since the beginning, until a critical point finally broke out, and the two countries broke out a terrible battle and war, which led to disaster. Thousands of people have been displaced. This is all caused by the differences between people. There is nothing to say, because people are not fair by nature. If a person wants to gain the respect of others, he must first have power detours. Having a gun in your hand and having a gun are not two problems. The other party sees that you have a very terrifying weapon in your hand, so they will respect you very much. It is better to say respect or awe. At least not I will say anything rude to you again, and I will never do anything that you think is noble again. Everyone insults a person's hands. With strength, you will have more right to speak, so you must guarantee from the beginning. The only person who can protect himself is his own strength. Those who were born shouting for peace and couldn't understand why others must let their country suffer disaster, to be honest, he really couldn't figure it out. Natural disasters and man-made disasters are not something they can decide. If those who clamor for peace can let them have a full meal and obtain more land for cultivation, then they feel that everything can be discussed, and they will speak more kindly. At least don't let the other party think that he is being unreasonable. Everything is determined by the environment. If the environment allows everyone to live and work in peace and contentment, then there will be very few bad people. But if it is a poor village and bad water, then the people who come out in the end must be bad people. This must be irrefutable. Even if those people shouted that they must be peaceful, in fact, they were killing them while trying to prevent the police from entering their garden. 0. For flowers. The wounded and the sick were placed in a safe place, and the ninja coalition finally started to move to the next floor. They didn't know what the boss of the next floor was like, but they knew that they had to defeat him. Otherwise, he will fall into a doomed place again. So they began to hope for luck. If the boss on the next floor is a boss that is almost the same as this one, it is also a very exciting thing, because the boss on this floor is so rubbish, there is nothing at all. The power didn't pose any threat to him, and even made them feel like the weakest among the other bosses. Because it is the weakest, it can't pose any threat to them. If the boss of the next floor is similar to him, then they can continue to restore Zarela, and they can reach the next level without losing a single soldier. Layer. So when the battlefield was already getting dark, suddenly a light lit up from a distance, and a passage was opened in the center of the light. The road to the next floor can only be reached by passing through this road, and if you have been hesitant to go to the next floor, you will likely be forcibly teleported to the next floor by the guy behind the scenes, just like what happened this time. Things are the same, so there is no choice, they can bite the bullet and go to the next level of loss. Chapter 305 Are We Abandoned? Facing the light, they entered together, but the moment they just stepped into the passage, they felt as if something was wrong. That's right, they walked in slowly, but after walking in, they suddenly discovered the energy of the passage. It was closed down, they have gone and never returned, there is no way to see those wounded soldiers again. The wounded soldiers also feel very frightened, they seem to have been abandoned, obviously different from the script. They are going to the next one after the floor, they came back to pick them up, but what they didn't expect was that those people disappeared immediately after entering the passage, so how would they, 5-7, pick themselves up? Go. Aren't they going to be abandoned on this floor? Wounded soldiers, look at me and I think you can't think of any effective way, but they won't sit still. When they left, Tsunade stayed here to heal the lives, so he didn't follow up. As an omnipotent medical ninja, he stayed here to heal a large number of wounded soldiers and also hear the supreme leader. When he saw the ninja coalition suddenly disappear, he didn't really make a fuss, because the previous people also accidentally left on the upper floor, and most of them were deserters. After entering this floor, they also found that those people could no longer be found, just because they were deserters, so no one said much. For fear of attracting what kind of money, now these wounded soldiers are also treated like this. Just looking at the disappearing passage in the distance, he thought about a lot of things in his heart. First of all, he thought about how to appease the emotions of these wounded soldiers, so that they would no longer panic, and secondly, to find a rhyme for these wounded soldiers, so that they can recover from their injuries. There can be certain things to do after that, although he doesn't know how to get out, but at least they must have hope for their lives, although he is also very desperate now, he doesn't want to be locked in this place, but this place obviously, there is no rhyme. If he doesn't find something to do, then he estimates that these people will fall into a state of madness immediately, and it is very likely that they will seek suicide hysterically. So he began to point to the passage ahead and said, when you are healed, immediately use the time-space ninjutsu I have learned, and after I have taught you, let's use chakra together and see if we can open the channel. He said this, in fact, he doesn't know ninjutsu in time and space at all, he is just bragging, but the ninjas don't know what kind of ninjutsu Tsunade, one of the three, will be. Maybe he really is there is ninjutsu in the space of time, but no one saw him use it, but he is not sure, so he has always held out hope. Looking forward to their injuries, hurry up and come to the rhyme, so that they can learn a time-space ninjutsu for free. According to the normal ninjutsu world war, they feel that there is no way to learn this kind of extremely restricted ninjutsu in the hands of the high level. Because this kind of ninjutsu may cause some uncertain factors, they were never prepared to give these ninjutsu to some ninja who did not trust enough, but under the current situation, they seem to be able to learn this ninjutsu, and listen to Tsunade's tone. It seems that this ninjutsu is not difficult to learn, maybe it is possible that after learning this ninjutsu, they will successfully become the zeroth in the Jonin world. Although it is a very far-fetched thing to say that everyone is the number one in the world in a time and space ninjutsu, it is not unreal, because the fourth generation of Hokage is the number one in the ninja world completely using this ninjutsu. Yes, he doesn't have any ninjutsu that he is good at all. Only when ninjutsu relies on this space, he can shuttle back and forth between various venues with ease, no one can stop him, and he can quickly return to Konoha. Ninja Village. Even if he was caught in an ambush, he could completely resolve it in an instant. It was so terrifying, so they all yearned for this kind of ninjutsu. If they can learn this ninjutsu after the injury is healed, then they will feel that they have really died without regrets in their whole life. I will not say whether they will learn it or not, at least they will have the opportunity to learn it, and they will no longer be swayed by high-level officials like before. The message was locked up with various means of clues. Since then, everyone in 2.6 is full of confidence, but only Tsunade has a sad face, because he doesn't know, if these people around him know that all these are lies he made up rhymes, will they be more despair and madness, but at least it's better than despair now. Sometimes white lies are also a very effective means, at least it can save a lot of losses and make these wounded soldiers more confident to live. Some of the things that have been done to conceal the disease can make patients feel better and make them more confident to fight the disease. Chapter 306 Next Level. The Ninja Coalition finally came to the next level. They don't know what the bosses on this floor are like, but they are ready to face attacks from any side. First of all, this battlefield is exactly the same as the previous battlefield. It is dark and there is no light at all, but at the same time they also saw many various details with life. For example, the place here is not like in the weeds like before, without any details. The people in it are all dead. No matter what you call them, they will not answer you. This is not the same as the previous battlefield. The people here are alive, that is, the previous passers-by. The passers-by here are all wise. If you tell him something, he will tell you something. If you say if there are too many, then he will feel that you are a complete profiteer that night, which is very surprising. Then the passers-by of the coalition army inquired for a long time, but they failed to successfully set up the real news of the boss on this floor, so they felt that this should be set up by the boss himself, and these passers-by were just cultivated by him. A fantasy that comes, although they still have some wisdom, and they don't look so bad, but they are also something that can be broken at any time, a kind of magic barrier that can confuse people. For this kind of thing, the Ninja Alliance was not wary at first. Knowing that they are there, and finding that they are doing their best to apply information to myself, I feel that these people are fundamentally extraordinary. Of course, they have very little knowledge of those ghosts, but those ghosts are not cautious about them. People don't know, they have almost finished all the ghosts in the whole winding. This is the last one. If they break through this one, then they have completely broken through the second battlefield and the first marine battlefield. They didn't make any effort at all, and in the second 12 Ghost Months battlefield, although they said they paid a great price. But in the end, they still succeeded in breaking through this layer. If they break through, the next layer will be Shinigami's field. If it spreads to the next field, it means that their 12 Ghost Moon is a very wasteful existence. This is something that Black Death cannot admit. Black Death Mo is the first of the 12 Ghost Months, that is, one of the winding strains. During the 12 months, he has an absolute position and right to speak. No matter who sees him, he will feel the fear, because his strength is unparalleled, and he is also the first to join the Ghost lineup. Except for the ancestor of the Ghost, he is a well-deserved boss, and this boss has a very weird temper, and does not allow others there is any overstepping of the concept of superior and inferior. Advertisement because in his opinion, the subordinate is the subordinate, and he absolutely cannot refute the superior. The order is dead. Once you can't complete it, then you will be punished, not saying that you try to please your superiors and escape, which is absolutely impossible. There used to be a 3-tasking nest with him. He has fought, but Sick Nest is not his opponent at all. Although he is very optimistic about Guess, and thinks that he is like him, he is a ghost who wants to develop into a situation where there is no limit to fighting, but he in the end, I never thought that the Kennel Seed would fall into the hands of the Ninja Coalition forces. Although he had also defeated Wu Lizzo before, and made it deeply realize that he was the third in the top string and could never be upgraded, but in his heart he still had hope for Wu Lizzo. The Rust Rider can one day replace the second stringer and become his direct subordinate, but before that day came, he fell in front of him one step ahead. Not only that, the second stringer has also fallen in front of him. He was very surprised by such a bizarre battle report, Black Death Mo. He had never imagined such a scene. He originally thought that the failure to write the title was unexpected. A person like him could even be defeated by the enemy in the first place. After Fang Zi was destroyed, he was able to regenerate and fight immediately. It is truly beyond words for people who are so eager to fight to fall in such a place. However, the reality is like this: if the squeezed seed is dead, he is dead, and there is no way to revive it. His power has completely dissipated, and Black Death Mo has also realized this. As the boss of all the ghosts, he has a very close perception of other people. Now that everyone else has died, it is also a very painful thing for him, which means that he has no choice but to go into battle in person, and if he can't solve his opponent, then the 12 Ghost Moon is really a complete defeat, and once he is defeated. So really disappointing. So Black Death Mo must do his best, even if the ninja company is uprooted, he doesn't care. For him, only the victory tent is the real everything, and the loser has nothing. Chapter 307. Of course he can't become a hero. In human society, if he can't become a hero, then what's the point of living if he dies at the age of 25 and no one will notice this? Why don't you just do one and let everyone remember it? Live existence. The younger brother has always been in a state of victory in the battle, and there is no time to lose. Although it is said that for the ghost killing team, failure means death, so they must not fail, and their enemies will not give them any chance to take it away and make a comeback. At that time someone had told him that if he continued to work in the ghost squad and became a Madara warrior, he would only die at the age of 25. Although dying like this would be considered a very honorable existence at the time, it was tantamount to a fatal blow to Heishimo. How could he die? He had not surpassed his younger brother. This made him feel terrified, because soon he would be 25 years old, and if he died like this, he felt that his life would be like a weed that would not be noticed by anyone. Therefore, he has been waiting for his younger brother, who is far taller than himself, to die unexpectedly in a certain battle, and then inherit his mantle and continue to carry it forward. That's right, as an older brother, he can't surpass his younger brother, and even his strength is always lower than that of his younger brother. Obviously, he should make irresponsible remarks about his younger brother, but he never thought that what he had always insisted on was not as good as that. 1/10 of his younger brother. This is an extremely collapsed reality, which also prompted him to feel jealous of his younger brother. So he sold his soul to the devil, and at the same time, in order to ensure that the other party would accept him, so that after he took refuge in the policeman was very afraid of him, so he didn't want to bring it under his command. In this way, he killed his immediate superior, which was his heart at the time. After killing him, he sacrificed the head to the ancestor of the ghost, and he successfully injected himself with ghost blood, transforming himself into a ghost, became a ghost. He finally let his brother run away. However, when the younger brother learned that his elder brother had turned into a ghost, he was shocked for the first time. In addition, it was more hatred, because he did not understand why his elder brother did this, so he thought about what to do. He wanted to avenge the leader of the ghost killing team, so he practiced his skills hard and wanted to fight Black Death mode to the death. After becoming a ghost, his body underwent dramatic changes. First, he gained stronger power. Because he was one of the founders of the breathing school, his breathing method combined with the ghost knowing blood ghost technique. A wonderful chemical reaction caused him to develop a new genre of ghost breathing. This breathing method allows him to gain more power, and when fighting the enemy, neither ghost nor ghost killer way to counteract it. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. That is a ghost. If you can become a ghost, then your life will be extended indefinitely. If you want to do anything, you will have a choice and more time to do it, at least it will not be limited to that simple. At the age of 25, 25 years remove the 10 years of life, the 10 years of ignorance and ignorance. In this way, when the real battle with the trajectory has been completed, it is only 10 years after falling out of love and not getting anything worthy of admiration. So what's the point of dying when you're 25? In this case, even if he died at the age of 25, it would not matter. First of all, it comes from the ghost killing team while taking refuge in the ghost, so when killing the ghost killing team, it will cause serious trauma to them, because he knows their attack way too well. Once the ghost fought with the ghost killing team, it was because of the way the ghosts had been unable to figure out how to fight, but now that the masters on their side have suddenly defected, this is a great benefit for the ghost wisdom camp. He can do whatever he wants. Any surprise attack on the ghost killing team makes the ghost killing team have no room for counterattack. Lee Dezo. That is, at that time he succeeded in letting his younger brother taste the defeat. But although the younger brother tasted the defeat, he didn't die, he was not killed by ghosts, and he was not killed by himself. This is really a very regrettable thing. Once they are caught and fail or lose, and they are not so strong, they will kill you and take your life without asking for any price, not giving you any leeway to fight back or even giving you any respite. Room. But things didn't go as he wished. The younger brother didn't die there, in a battle, or in other words, he didn't die in any battle at all. Every battle was very exciting, and there was no time for any defeat. He wanted to kill his younger brother, but at the same time he didn't know how to do it. Those who win may go on to make irresponsible remarks about real life, while those who lose only deserve to meet and die. Death is punishment for anyone, and Black Death is not an accident, but he has not died for a long time. Although he successfully imagined his own scenes when he was a child, he was still human at that time. Chapter 308 Dying Light. The power of his blood ghost art and the breath of the moon was asked together. It was really an unbelievable robber, so the younger brother finally died, just by the elder brother's knife. Although there is still a trace of reluctance in his heart, but as an older brother, he is still blinded by jealousy. He is too jealous of his younger brother. If the younger brother does not have such a canopy, he is a waste. Then he will try his best to bring his younger brother by his side and bring him up like a child, but he did not expect his younger brother to have such terrifying strength. A state of victories. This made him never understand why his own light was blocked by his younger brother. Humans will always remember the first, but not the second. Although he has also done a lot for the ghost killing team contributions, but humans will only remember that his younger brother is very, very powerful, and his older brother does not mention a word, as if his contribution does not matter, although it is said that before the younger brother has emerged, his contribution has always been 517. An astonishing existence, but once his younger brother became famous, he became irrelevant, which made him feel disgusted with the group of human beings, and felt that they were all very inferior beings. End your life. Human beings have limits, so he doesn't want to be a human being. After turning his head to the ghost camp, there are many benefits, and of course he will not tell the police about these benefits. First of all, he has no friends to speak of, the first ancestor of ghosts, although it was said that he was the one who turned him into a ghost, but in the end he never believed in this guy. He poured his own blood into him, but at the same time he also found that this guy was almost going to surpass it. Therefore, the blood he gave was only given a small part, so if he wanted to continue to break through, he had to work harder to obtain his blood. But the ancestor of ghosts will not give him more money. Because if he gives him more, he will completely break through. And if this is the case, then sooner or later, he will replace the ancestor of ghosts, because there is no way for a ghost to be lost, So sooner or later he will be hacked to death by this subordinate who he once cultivated with his own hands, because his strength has such a possibility that it is like the Black Death Mo is jealous of his younger brother. The ghost, the first ancestor, was also jealous of Black Death Mo, but he had to say that their family had too much trouble. Once the sky is living together, if anyone makes the slightest mistake, it will be considered a waste. This too harsh selection method makes everyone unbearable, but there will always be elites who stay, and those elites will be very bad. Good treatment, but also as Tianji, no one can stand this sense of gap. From the beginning, Tianji suddenly turned into a waste. Is this acceptable to anyone? Black Death Mo has always wanted to break through himself and turn himself into a unique existence, but he did not break the demon barrier in his heart until the end. In desperation, he had to become a ghost and accept him. Now he is fighting against the ninja coalition. At that time, he felt that it was time for him to emerge, and if he killed all these guys, then, AGCG, could prove that 12 Ghost Moon was not a waste but an elite among the elites. Thinking of this, he entered the battlefield. In the darkness, people saw a person walking slowly. Originally they thought this was the leader of the ghost killing team, but after seeing his appearance, they found that this was not the case. He had 6 eyes, each of which was its right to show Dudo's angry attitude. It's so scary, and at the same time he also holds a knife in his hand. The knife looks very long and huge, and it looks very impressive from a distance. People feel fear, but if you look closely, you will feel that this person actually has an unspoken majesty. Even if he doesn't speak, when he stares at you with his eyes tightly, it will have a shock to you, so that you can't say anything disrespectful to him. Unlike other ghosts, this time Black Death Mo speaks. You are a coalition called ninjas, he said, looking at all the ninjas. The ninjas nodded, and Reikage came to Xiaoqin. Although his injury was not broken, and his missing arm was still being healed, as the most qualified person among the 5 shadows to be the leader of the coalition, he must stand and lie down as a representative. Who are you? He asked rhetorically, at the same time acquiescing to the other party's question. Black Death Mo didn't want to fight so quickly because he knew that every war was sacred, and whether it was life or death, he had to give the opponent incomparable respect. He has the same idea as Sick Woozer. Wu Wuzo feels that since the other party wants to fight, he must fight with all his strength. He will give the other party incomparable fairness and confidence, so even if the other party wants to kill him, he will also not blink an eye, because he knows that his skills are inferior to others, so he must endure it. On the contrary, if he wants to kill the policeman, if the policeman is cowardly, he will feel that the policeman is cowardly. In the first place, because he thinks such people are trash, he doesn't have a good face for trash. Chapter 309 The Power of Ghosts. The same is true of Hey Dead Mo. He doesn't have a good face for trash, but he has a stronger sense of hierarchy and a stronger desire for victory than Wu Wazo. After Wu Wazo was cut off his head, can successfully grow a complete head through the desire to fight, although he said that it is the same as the chair riding seat, but he can not only grow and diligently reveal, he can even re-evolve his body. That's right, it's so unbelievable. Although he has transformed into a ghost, he can make the ghost's form flourish again, so that he can gain stronger power, that is, once the blood of the ghost in his body boils up. If it boils, then its power will be more violent, and no one can be calm to his power. Even if it is the first ancestor of ghosts, after seeing his second form, he will be amazed, and even feel ashamed for a while, but after all, he is the first ancestor of ghosts, and he will not do anything to make himself worthless. Therefore, he has always existed as a mysterious person, and Black Death Mo has never fought against him. In his impression, the ancestor of ghosts is an unchallenged existence. The shackles he created made him never think about killing the first ancestor of ghosts. I don't know if it's a bit ironic. When he was a human, he showed his superiors, and the head of the superiors was dedicated to the ancestor of the devil, but after becoming a ghost, he sneered at this kind of behavior, and even let himself. It is ironic to create a very loyal image. It is obvious that he is one of the most disloyal things he has ever done, but once he becomes a ghost, it will have a great impact on personality and other aspects. Changes, because the perspective of looking at the world is different. Therefore, he will not challenge the Ghost Knowledge Team, but the Ghost Knowledge Team also has to guard against him. I am afraid that one day he will think that it is good to be a human being, so he will also chop off his head and dedicate it to human beings. For such two-faced people, his thoughts are of course not good, although the strength of this guy is indeed very strong. With his joining, the ghost's power will become stronger, but this is still not an excuse for him to be safe and sound. So one day he will be disposed of by the ancestor of the ghost, and thrown away like a used tool. This is a very regrettable thing, but there is no way, because no one can control the thoughts of the ancestor of the ghost. If he wants to do something, he will do it. The only person who wants to resist him has been established, and that is the ghost killing team. 0. For flowers at 2H at carat at plus, but this person escaped from the ghost killing team. He did not see through the truth of the world, nor did he think that people in the world could be oppressed. He felt that even if people were oppressed, they would follow him. It has nothing to do with him, so what he always cares about is whether he is strong or not, whether he can be respected by others, but he cannot be respected in the human camp, so the Black Death Mujiwi has always been looked down upon, because of his innermost feelings. Not the purest. He can only truly think for the sake of human beings. Becoming a real human elite will gain all kinds of respect, and will be regarded by human beings as the savior of human beings, but this is impossible. His character is from the very beginning. It was decided that, from the first glance, he felt that the diary written by his mother in the diary was to praise his brother, not to praise him. Since then, his mind has undergone great changes. He has long ceased to be the self at that time, he has fallen into a ghost, and finally sacrificed his body completely, which is also the final destination of fate. Although it is a bit embarrassing, but it is precisely because of the various negative thoughts among humans that all kinds of ghosts will appear, right? If human beings are really simple, then how can there be ghosts that harm them? Chapter 310. But rather than saying that Black Deathmo is more fierce, it is better to say that he is more helpless. He has no choice since he was born. If his companions are not like him, why would other people be with him? How is he? As if he had never participated in ghosts before, he still firmly believed in his creed, and it was extremely difficult to shake it, because he was so obedient and caring and thoughtful. He was originally given high hopes by his father, and aspires to be a powerful samurai, but in the end is a complete garbage man. That's right, his father originally wanted to make him 533. An unparalleled heavenly scene, and then wipe out all the ghosts in the world, but when he saw that his younger brother's talent was much nobler than him at that time, he suddenly had more opinions on him, and under the expression of his father, he wanted Hey Dead Mo to marry a wife and have a son and heir. If it was an heir, then his future would be completely determined disrupted, it is no longer what he hoped, and can attack with the strongest forever. He couldn't continue chasing his younger brother, so he decisively abandoned his family and status and joined the ghost-killing squad. He thought he could continue to hone his memory after this place, but he saw his companions die one by one. At that time, there was a very anxious atmosphere in his team, because they knew that as Madara warriors, they're going to die at 25, so he's going to feel like he doesn't have much time to train. If he can't train, then he will feel very unwilling, but if he has eternal time to improve his martial arts, then he can continue to be the strongest in the world. This was incomprehensible to anyone at the time. Why would there be such an idea of wanting to improve one's own strength? So Soing wants to become a ghost? It's just that what he thought at the time was that because his power could never reach a very high level, it would take a lot of time for him to surpass his younger brother, and after his younger brother was the more powerful ancestor of ghosts. In order to surpass the ancestor of ghosts, he wants to obtain eternal time, because he feels that although the ancestor of ghosts seems to be an invincible existence that people cannot surpass at all, it is always a fixed point. Advertisement. There is no way for him to continue to improve himself, but as a human being, he can continue to cultivate, so he will choose to join the camp of ghosts. Only ghosts can kill ghosts. This is the most correct one for him. Thing. And only in this way, he can continue to be as effective as his teammates in killing ghosts. However, because of his strong class concept, strict requirements on the relationship between superiors and subordinates, and no order and chaos, he was not angry with Ruozuo's leapfrog style, and cut off one of his arms. Later, although his arm could be very fast however, he was still severely sanctioned and felt that his self-esteem was being disrespected. There is no way to do this, because in the world that can be seen transparently in his mind. He fights with all his strength, and after enduring the pain he can reach the highest realm. In this state he needs to concentrate and close all the creatures and organs, so that the body looks transparent and the body moves quickly, and it can grasp the contraction of its own muscles more quickly, and because of this, it can accelerate the perception of the enemy's actions, which will make him feel that the enemy it will get slower and slower. But if this is derived from his own power as a ghost, then he must also undertake some other disasters. In this way, he has become the most difficult enemy of the ghost-killing team. Some of the beliefs he has held since then have all turned into bullshit after becoming a ghost. In addition, he has not done anything else. From ancient times to the present, not only has he not surpassed the master of ghosts, he has even killed quite a few of his compatriots. Although he has been cultivating the breath of the moon was the starting breath at that time, and the breathing style directly derived from the breath of the sun. When learning the breath of the sun, he could not learn it due to his poor appearance from the breath of the sun. His father had to create a deteriorating breath of the moon. After he turned into a ghost, he continued to hone and improve gradually, which also made his inferior breath have a lot of tricks, and his attack was extremely fast, with a huge range of 2.6, but there was still no way to surpass the breath of the sun. After all, the breath of the sun is truly the strongest breathing technique. After transforming into a ghost, he also enjoyed a weapon given to him by the ancestor of the ghost, a ghost's blade handle made of his own flesh and blood. The grips are covered with eyes, and he can slash at will. For countless months, the size and length of Ren Yu Yuan Ren are constantly changing, and there is no fixed shape. If the knife is damaged, it can be retrieved instantly, and as the Black Death Mo liberates his strength, he will evolve into an alien shape with a longer and wrong blade. Chapter 311. The Powerful Servant of the Ancestor of Ghosts. At the time, he thought this weapon was very good, and later he also created some new trees for this weapon. Those trees were all blood ghosts, which could transform his body into a blade and generate the blade of the sword can be hooked freely, and Ren Feng and the full moon, which are combined with breathing, can breathe freely, and can also exert a rhythm far beyond the effect of ordinary blood ghost art, but in the case of extremely serious blood loss, there is no way to play it. Yes, but the devil blood injected into his body is very rich, even no one can handle him. Because he has been favored by the ancestor of ghosts from the beginning, as the first capable subordinate of him, how could he not care about his loyalty? He obviously saw it from 06. I want to kill him, so I want to become a ghost. No one stipulates that ghosts can't kill ghosts, so once he accepts his own blood, he will become an existence that disobeys himself. Although he can still kill him with a wave of his hand, if he suddenly attacks himself when he is not prepared, can he defend himself at that time? Obviously it can't, so to be on the safe side, he injected a very large amount of blood around his body, so that if he only needs to betray one day, then he only needs a thought to give it easily. Because his body is already full of his blood, and if he wants to kill him with blood, it will become very easy. It's just that he is very afraid that he thinks that someone like Black Death Mo will completely suppress his blood sooner or later, because his physical strength is already very strong at this moment. If he is allowed to continue to be strong, then it is likely that one day, he will use his own flesh and blood to break through his accident. At that time, no matter how much blood he injects into his body, there will be no way, and there is absolutely no way to defeat him, and at that time he will be his absolute nemesis, so he has always been on guard against him, but because it is a hidden danger after all, so he can't say everything he does. But his worries are actually superfluous. When Black Death Mo was still a human being, he was regarded as an ominous sign because the twin families would compete with each other for the heir position when they came of age. When he was born, his younger brother was born with a strange birthmark. His father wanted to kill him personally, but his mother was so angry that he was almost mad to stop him, but he still saved his younger brother's life. However, his father still decided that the eldest son, Heidi Mo, would be responsible for the inheritance. However, as the heir of the family, he had the idea that Ishin wanted to protect his younger brother, because he felt that the kinship of his flesh and blood was to comfort his younger brother, hide from father. I went to his small room to find him to play, but my father found him in the end. After he found it, he beat him severely, and then found that his younger brother hadn't spoken since he was born. After coming, the younger brother showed unparalleled kendo strength, which made the elder brother feel very strange, so he developed jealousy towards his younger brother. In this way, he wanted to keep training himself and build himself into the strongest powerhouse, but he didn't expect that in the end he would turn himself into a ghost and become the one he hated the most. In the past, I always felt that the ghost was a very sloppy and disgusting guy. As long as he and his teammates were determined to do their best, they could definitely wipe out those ghosts. However, in the end, he subverted everything he had, completely fallen into a wicked guy. Now on the battlefield, the Jonin coalition forces have already lined up, ready to respond at any time, and will rush over. Hey 533 Death Mo and the others seem very confident, because they know that this guy should actually be the last ghost, because the previous ghost claimed to be the second of the winding string and the third of the winding string. In terms of ranking, then the guy with the number 1 in his eyes is one of the winding strings, that is, the most powerful one. If they beat this one, they should be able to get rid of it. With this idea in mind, they have always wanted to fight as soon as possible. They feel that there are so many of them, and when they fought with others before, they were not afraid at all, because they knew that if they continued to fight with them, if you continue to be afraid, it will lead to your own death. They will never let themselves die, because they know that only they can win the victory with their best efforts, so they make great fanfare and want to line up, to deal with this Black Death Mo, chapter 312. However, Hey Dead Mo has no intention of looking down on the other party at all. In his eyes, the other party is actually so many people added up, and in his eyes it is only one person, because he knows that no one can be called him. This is not only his pride, but also his self-esteem, because he understands that he has cultivated for hundreds of years, and there is absolutely no way for a normal person to cultivate for hundreds of years. Only when he is a ghost, he can continue to cultivate to this extent, degree. And it is precisely because Ghost Taji has such a terrifying power that no one can surpass him, and no one can defeat him, only that mysterious person, but that mysterious person will not attack him even if he is diligent for some reason, therefore, he will continue to become stronger. If it is said that he will become stronger by a few points every year, then he has become an extremely strong existence for hundreds of years, so he will feel that he is invincible in the world. These guys are nothing but whetstones he uses to sharpen his knives. Thinking of this, he took a stance and pulled out his knife. His knife was covered with eyes, which made people feel disgusting. Even Rakage was the same. He had seen something more disgusting than this knife before. Weapon, but in the end he still defeated the user of that weapon, so he felt that it was nothing special. As long as he was serious, then all difficulties could be overcome, and other ninjas also thought the same, but this is the last ghost after all, so they gradually became serious and stopped dealing with it as before. They began to plan carefully and prepared a series of measures to fight against the enemy. Although they did not know whether those measures would be of any use to him, they still decided to rhyme all of them. When fighting with him, they will definitely fall into his trap, so they decided to be a piece of cake, wanting to break through with Hey Dead Mo. As long as they break through it, then they can successfully escape this battlefield, this one. The battlefield of infinite reincarnation. However, Black Death Mo is very disdainful of their hearts. First of all, there is no guy here that he can call a strong man, not even the previous guy called Might Guy. Although that guy said that he used up his own in life, Ji and Wazo were tied, but in his eyes, Wu Wazo was also a piece of garbage, because he had. Having chopped off one of his arms, he didn't even have the strength to fight back. Although he survived earlier than him, the next will make him so powerful, and he has more eyes than him, because he has more eyes, so he can see more clearly. Even if the other party tries his best, there is no way to successfully defeat it, so he will continue to think about learning from that guy, but that guy has never learned from him since he lost once, because he feels that he never has the means to defeat this guy. If you want to win, you must do a lot of detours, you must successfully challenge a lot of enemies, and you have to retreat completely, so you must work harder to continue. He thinks that Hey Death Mo is the #1 person in the world. As long as he wants to, there is nothing he can't do, but it is not the case. 60 years after Hey Death Mo turned into a ghost, on a red moon night, he happened to pass by. In a 7-story tower in the suburbs, I witnessed a white-haired old man who was over 80 years old. The old man was actually his younger brother. He was very surprised, because he thought that all Madara warriors would die before the age of 25, but his younger brother was unscathed and successfully lived to be in his 80s, and he was very old. After he became a ghost, Isshin asked to see him, but he still couldn't do anything in the face of his younger brother. Because he knew that in order to be stronger, he had already plunged himself into an infinite abyss, and this voice he used to despise very much. Once someone is turned into a ghost, he will behead him mercilessly, feeling that it is the weakness in his heart, but now seeing his brother working so hard, when he is 80 years old, he feels that he felt very guilty, and the flames of deep fear, resentment and jealousy were burning, and his heart was full of killing intent. He and Li Haohao, who was thinking about emotions, fought with each other, but he did not think that the strength of the other party was still far above him, and once he used the breath of the sun, he would at some point in the next moment, it was killed. But what he didn't expect was that the other party had already died of old age after swinging the scissors, and he used his last bit of strength. This strength used his life's experience, but because of the aging of his body, it was impossible for him to continue. Continuing the fight, he did not expect his younger brother to die like this, but at the same time he also understood that it was impossible for him to have a chance to defeat him in this lifetime, because there is no way for a dead person to be resurrected. Even if he becomes a ghost, he is still a dead ghost. Chapter 311 Regret and Humiliation. So hatred and humiliation flooded into his heart. He cut his brother in half with one knife, but he felt a deep sense of remorse afterward. He shed tears, but at the same time he finally understood that what he hated most was himself. His younger brother, but his favorite is also his own younger brother, because he likes him, so Soing has always cared about him so much. When he found out that he was going to be vigilant about his position, his heart was full of great fear, feeling that he survived the meaning will be replaced forever, but the fact is not the case. The younger brother pursues him all his life, and feels that he will never be able to surpass his elder brother. Black Death Mo knows how big the gap between him and his younger brother is, so Seong has been working so hard that he wants to be the existence that protects his younger brother, rather than simply being surpassed and looked down upon by his younger brother, so he thinks about doing his best fight with all your might. After that, he also felt that the meaning of his life was very slim, so Isshin blocked other emotions and only concentrated his thoughts on becoming stronger. As long as this aspect can become stronger, then everything else's nothingness is false. Only by making oneself the strongest person, there may be no way to surpass it. If there is no way to surpass, then they can control everything. If they can control everything, then everything in the world will be under his command. At that time he will be the real master, and no one will dare to say no to him. He said, what is that feeling? He can't wait to experience it, but now he still has to solve the problem in front of him, because he has sworn a long time ago that he will definitely defeat all the enemies in the world, and definitely not will lose again, so he will continue. When he saw the ninja coalition going crazy and rushing towards him, his AGCG heart was full of other emotions, and all that came to his mind was the smile of his younger brother. As for the existence of his younger brother, his mind was always there. He has never been able to send the dream demon for more than 10 years. Although he also left tears of remorse after his younger brother's death, he still hasn't figured out why he has become like this. If there must be someone to come, when the sinner, then why is it him and not man? Why does Isshin think about doing this? The morals and thoughts and emotions in his heart have been tormenting him, making him feel that what he has been insisting on is wrong, but he has come all the way, so what, can you deny your previous self? Therefore, he can make mistakes and carry out everything. His status is very high. Even the first ancestor of ghosts has no way to order. The ninja company in front of him rushed towards him frantically, making Hey Death Mo feel very ridiculous. Don't these people know that they will die? If they say they will die, then why are they rushing towards him? What? Is it to become stronger? Black Death Mo thinks this is not the case. They are not the same as themselves, and it is absolutely impossible for them to undergo such painful torture to become stronger. Isshin's idea of begging for death is still not accepted by everyone. Even if he is a ghost, there are only 3 people who hold him. I have had this idea, that person is dead, and now he is the only one left. In the future, he should continue to work hard in this direction, but who will remember him? Does everything he does really make sense? After thinking about these things, you have made him think that his brain is about to explode. In order to stop thinking about these things, he can only fill his brain with blood and killing, so that he can't if he has other energy to think about other things. Every night he feels pain because he can't sleep, although he no longer needs to sleep, as long as he wants, he can keep his eyes closed, but because the original in the habit of human beings, he has never been able to abandon his human identity or erase his past, and can only insist on living. The blood killing and killing did not make him insensitive, he still lived a human life as before, but because of the change in appearance, his environment had undergone great changes, but this was not the main reason. He does not eat people, nor does he deliberately kill people. As long as there is a threat to him, he will continue to use his own knife. Cut off the enemy's head, but the current situation is that there are not too many enemies worth killing. Now send it to this battlefield, and want him to kill these people in front of him. To be honest, he was really too lazy to do it, but he was helpless. Chapter 312 Black Death Mo. The ninja coalition rushed up, and Heidimu was swallowed in it. The knife in his hand was not stopped for a moment, but the speed was very fast. If his knife did not hit anyone, it would leave an irreversible wound. This scar makes people very painful and tortured, and soon they will die from excessive blood loss. Not only that, those eyes that are hurt on touching the knife will also make them rapidly upgraded, which is similar to a bloodless vampire, so that they will feel that their companions are so delicious when they are alive. Then he desperately wanted to pounce on his companions and began to kill each other, which would lead to their complete death. This was the real magic of his knife. The leading ninjas were extremely surprised when they saw the situation in front of them. They didn't expect such a situation. Originally, they thought the other party was an ordinary warrior. As for turning everyone into this kind of ghost-like appearance, they were careless from the beginning, and they didn't think of any more ways to solve this situation. Not only that, they even knew the Black Death in front of them is really too little. Hey Death Mo has no mercy at all. It can be said that he has been numb to blood for a long time. Since hundreds of years ago, he has been in a state of killing. He hacked the opponent to death with his own knife. One of the most important things, nothing can stop him from doing this, because his instinct seems to be like this from birth. In the past he was slashing and killing ghosts. Now he is slashing and killing humans, but after killing a lot after that, he will feel that there is no district police in the two. Some ghosts are actually very deplorable. To a certain extent, they feel that they are actually human beings but only sick human beings. They eat people because they are forced to, because the blood in his body is causing trouble, not in their hearts. The real thought, the kind of thought that motivated them to resist cannibalism all the time, is that sometimes they feel very guilty after eating the policeman. Rather than this, they might as well feel that they just die like this. From the moment they were injected with ghost blood, they have lost their qualifications as human beings. Murderers, human beings have always been in a state of exclusion for the family. They feel that since these guys have become like this, they should no longer belong to human beings, not to mention that they still have a very serious threat to them, an uncontrollable state. Humans are always very afraid and worried about uncontrollable factors, because fear comes from the unknown. Once there is something they don't know, then they will try to eliminate it, and there is no solution. The problem itself, it's an approach they've always been a stick to. This method also sounds very hopeless. A person is innocent, but he was injected with this kind of blood, which caused him to become a vampire, and later he resisted eating people and meat, but he did not. They will still be attacked and killed by humans, and finally fall miserably under their sun knives. But is this really fair to them? Although it is said that his death is very important to human beings, as long as he is alive, he will continue to kill human beings, but if he dies, there will be no more human beings. Will they die? 0. For flowers, there are countless wars between people, and they have been fighting almost since ancient times. For food, water, and various things, they will always start fighting, just like the animal world. Humans and animals actually don't have any district police, it's just that one has civilization and the other doesn't. After people hurt police more often, they will feel that the scars on their bodies will also ache, even if they win. So what? In the end, although I have tasted the fruits of victory, what about the world today? If we want real peace, we must meet the problem of resource allocation, and the second thing is public security. Public security and war are different, and their hook points are different. One is intense, and the other is control. There is always a barrier between justice and injustice. The barrier is long or short, and there is no way for people to break it. Black Death Mo was still thinking about this kind of problem at first, but then he gradually forgot about it. He has always abided by his own rules and kill the enemies in front of him one by one. Unless they bow their heads, otherwise they will definitely be for their own enemies. For ghosts, they don't actually need to pay too much blood, only if their heads are chopped off, they will continue to die, and ghosts like Black Death Mo today, even if their heads are chopped off. They can also grow back quickly, and they have almost become invincible existences. As long as they do not bathe in the sun, they will never be killed. Chapter 313 Never Die. Such ghosts are actually an unprecedented catastrophe for human beings. They dare not imagine that if more ghosts are no longer afraid of the sun, how can human beings survive? Without the power to check and balance ghosts, then in the end the earth, the rest must be vampires, right? Thinking of this, they began to give up thinking and blindly want to eliminate the source of danger, the ghost. If the source is eliminated, then everything will be quiet. Many ghosts can be killed, so don't be stingy. Be sure to kill them. While their number is still small, they will continue to set up a ghost killing team instead of thinking about treating ghosts, and 533 will return the ghosts to their original state. After all, the prototype of a ghost is actually that after a human becomes a ghost, you feel that he no longer belongs to a human, so you have to kill it, which is tantamount to making people feel very uncomfortable. Because many people's relatives are not willing to become ghosts, but in the end they accidentally become. So is this a natural and man-made disaster? When a policeman encounters a disaster, a human will stretch out his hand to help him, but now he has suddenly turned into a ghost. If there is no communication, once there is communication, they will continue to change to more peace. The premise is that the vampire's forced cannibalism must be resolved. But this kind of thing has not been studied until now. The ghost killing team has not figured out how to solve this problem for hundreds of years, but it is not so much that they have not solved it, it is better to say that they have not tried to solve the problem of treating ghosts at all. In fact, no one has participated in this system at all. When people see ghosts, they give up thinking for the first time, thinking that these guys should completely disappear from the world, so all they think in their minds are actually wanting to kill ghosts completely, so it will set up a ghost killing team, and train more and more believers to wage war against ghosts, which will also cause ghosts to resist. At the same time, the endless battle between the two resulted in many casualties and many unpleasant things. The Ninja Coalition is actually not the same as them. He was forced to come to this battlefield and was forced to fight with the Black Death. They knew that the Black Death was very powerful, but if they did not defeat the Black Death, they would have absolutely no way to escape. Go out, so the villain behind is the guy who feels the most pain. If they really know who that guy is, they will definitely start attacking him immediately, instead of being given by him now. Kill. No one wants to die, they all want to live, but if they want to live, they must be killed. There is no way to do this. There is no way to do this. It happened many times before, all ninjas are used to it, and they all feel that this is a very normal thing, and there will be casualties in battle. Once there are no casualties, it must be the surrender of the opponent, or their own people are dead. It is not a good thing for their own people to die, so they will always feel that only relying on their own efforts will continue to kill the enemy. All of them have been wiped out, but now the Black Death is slashing his hands and killing people at a very fast speed. Like a harvester, he is rampant in the Ninja Coalition, and no one can stop him, even if it is some long-standing battlefield ninja. In front of him was just a few non-vegetables whose heads were easily cut off, and the sound of panting never made a hook. Seeing that this guy is so strong, Raikage really can't do anything about it, but he is definitely not the opponent's opponent. Just when he wanted to charge up, he was rotten by his own guards. He will let his boss take another risk. The last time he took an adventure, he broke an arm. If he goes again now, he must be dead. Who will let their boss die? They feel that only making their boss safer will be worthy of their nephew, just like everyone thinks, so they start fighting the enemy, and desperately protect the safety of his boss. It seems to them that it is more important than life, however, it seems that Black Death Mo is actually very strange to 2.6. He has never felt real affection between people, like his old brother. No matter how reluctant they are, they still fight for some reason in the end, and the final outcome is that you kill me or I kill you. There is no middle option. This is really a very regrettable thing. Now life has begun to change. His life has changed from killing every day to killing every day. Although there are no district police, it seems to be more interesting than before, which makes people feel very painful. Chapter 314 Death is fun. Does anyone really think that killing people every day is very fun? Black Death Mo definitely doesn't think so. He doesn't like killing people. He just wants to make himself stronger. But what is the purpose of becoming stronger? Loved ones are no longer seriously injured by other people. In this way, after being able to be called a powerful person with power, people have always been very lonely, just like Black Death Mo. Although he is surrounded by many people now, all he can do is all these people were killed, and there was no other way, in order not to feel lonely. He also cultivated some of his own followers, but in the end those followers only thought about things that he couldn't understand at all, and finally successfully killed his final feelings, until he finally became 061. There is really no way for people to understand. The deaths and injuries of the ninjas became more and more serious. Finally, some routes began to occur. The morale was obviously insufficient. Everyone saw this situation and understood that the Ninja Coalition was about to retreat. The guy who called the monster, this guy is not just a monster, even a little crazy. He is so terrifying, no one has ever felt like this person oppresses you incomparably. His oppressive power actually exists on his own knife. His knife is different from other people's they are all ordinary knives, and his knives are very weird. A knife is covered with eyes, and each eye will be degraded, making people feel very weird and even disgusting for a while. But this can't actually be said to be a very weird thing for him. In fact, to put it bluntly, he doesn't know why his own knife has become so weird. He just changed the knife from his own. It's just a rhyme from the body, just like Kimimaro pulling his own bones out of his body. The reason why people feel horrible, because no one has done this before. Once someone does it, it will make people feel very weird. The reason why such a strange thing makes people feel terrifying is because human beings still know too little about him. If they know him thoroughly, how can they feel that he is terrifying? There is no way. Human beings are such a kind of creature. If you want him not to feel terrible, then he will feel terrible, but if you make him not feel terrible, then he will feel very uncomfortable. There is nothing to be uncomfortable. The way, this kind of thing is like some legends and ghosts written by human beings in the past. Those things seem to people now, although they feel very ridiculous. But at that time, people would look very real and convincing. Once convinced, then he would have no way to manage his emotions, and eventually he would fall into the darkness successfully. That's why people become ghosts. In fact, most of the ghosts are in such a state, because they are afraid that they will not be able to discern the real truth in the end. Those who have a heart should be controlled, since some of their bad goals have been achieved. Black Death's movement was very fast in the crowd. He quickly rotated the knife in his hand and began to become faster and faster. For a while, people couldn't figure out his trace at all. He started the knife in the crowd, falling down, they killed many people very quickly. The death of the ninja coalition has already exceeded half. This is some casualties that all the ghosts did not cause them before. No one thought that this guy was actually stronger than the previous ghosts. To this extent, their power is really terrifying. Especially this guy is even an unexplainable strong. His power is unimaginable to anyone. It is a very high-intensity energy that cannot be deciphered, so in order to protect their own people from being hurt, the Jinchuriki finally released their tailed beasts. The power of those tailed beasts was very terrifying, and when they were released, they blasted deep pits one after another on the ground like a nuclear bomb. The ninja coalition forces were forced to evacuate, dragging their weak bodies to hide behind, watching these big guys fight. However, he is not afraid of Black Death at all. Although it is the first time he has seen such a huge monster, he has fought against these guys before. The reason why he thinks these guys are huge is because he fought before. Those guys are not as big as this guy at all, and those who fought in the past were ghosts, which can be infinitely regenerated by death. Although these guys now look very scary, he can clearly perceive that they are not so strong. If you work a little harder, you should be able to deal with them all. For this reason, he began to activate his own moon breath. That's right, until this time, he continued to use his killer copper. During the period just now, he was just a small test of the knife. Chapter 315 The Breath of the Moon. The knife in his hand, in fact, he hadn't used it much at first, but now he has finally begun to show his power. Once he plays so much, what awaits his opponent is a very terrifying monster. Black Death Mo's form has undergone drastic changes. The cells in his body began to multiply rapidly, and some connective tissue was formed around his body, making him a man with feet on his head and fangs. The monster's body is also getting bigger and bigger, but it is not as huge as those tailed beasts, but it still makes people feel terrifying. The knife in his hand has also begun to change. Not only is it very scary, but it also makes people feel surprised that the knife in his hand no longer seems to be a knife now, but as seen above there are sharp blades, and they are intricate, reminiscent of how badly their bodies will be hurt once entangled with this knife. Maybe no one can bear it at all, unless that person can restore his own body like a ghost, but how can such a person exist? Black Death Mo didn't expect these big guys to have such terrifying power, and their bodies can quickly recover and regenerate like him. This is because those tailed beasts are all formed by Zaraju, and they have no entity. The entity actually disappeared a long time ago. At the same time, behind the scenes of the battlefield, Yi Lin looked at this magnificent scene, and a smile appeared on his face. Not only that, they also felt that the little guy under their feet was really ridiculous, so they started to step on it with their feet, wanting to make him fall to the ground forever. There was no way to stand up, but what he didn't expect was that even if the bones of the Black Death umbrella were crushed into powder, it could recover in an instant. Hey Death Mo paid attention to his breathing rate, and at the same time began to activate the first style of the Breath of the Moon. He rang the tailed beasts in front of him with a hard blow, desperately slashing them, but these tailed beasts are strong after all. After taking this knife, there is still no injury at all. No one wants to die, even Black Death Mo. Now he really feels that he has smelled the smell of death, and his body is shaking all over, feeling that these guys have such terrifying power, but at the same time, he also maximized his strength, and the knife in his hand seemed to be attached to a very terrifying thing, and the momentum on his body changed in an instant. And Black Death Mo also surprised these tailed beasts. They didn't expect that this guy could still be a little bit tall, with such powerful strength, he could even be unharmed like no one after taking a kick from him. He said, looking at the Shinigami camp behind him, they were fully prepared. Advertisement: the tailed beasts all gathered together, and gathered all their power on one tailed beast Jade. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. As expected of a tailed beast, they thought. He didn't want to be resigned to the Black Death, he really felt the blood rushing up now, and he felt that he could really die properly. He bent the jade hair hook of the tail beast in front of him and slashed hard, and the knife in his hand was very strong. It was about to shatter, and at the same time his body was burning rapidly, and soon it was gradually submerged by the huge tailed beast Jade, turning it into decay. Both sides began to get nervous, especially in the year of the Black Death. After all, the other party's body was a bit bigger than him, so he also began to release all his trump cards, and the tailed beast used the tailed beast Jade. The tailed beasts all fired huge tailed beast cannons towards Hey Deathmo's side. Behind the tailed beast, Li Haohao. The ninja coalition forces were shocked when they saw this situation. They never imagined that they could see such a terrible scene. No one can afford that trick. Even the strongest Uchiha Madara must dodge when he sees this, the huge tailed beast cannon. Otherwise he will be hit by them if they are seriously injured, even if their bodies can recover. Once they are smashed into slag by this huge bubble, what should they use to heal them? In the end, they will only be dead. At the same time, the tailed beast Jade fell like a planet and smashed hard on Hey Dead's body. Finally broke through the second battlefield, then it's time to start the third battlefield. What awaits the ninja coalition will be an unprecedented catastrophe. Both sides started to feel very nervous because they both underestimated the other from the beginning. Chapter 316 Ishida Yulong. Finally, Black Death Mo started the third battlefield. Like the first two, he continued to fight the Hokage coalition. The knife in his hand seemed to be enchanted, slashing frantically. Immediately, the allied ninja army behind him seemed to have heard a call and started to attack like crazy. Seeing this, the Hokage coalition forces were shocked and began to fight back. In this way, the strength of the two sides is comparable, like a machine without emotion, fiercely attacking the other side and paying their lives. Yi Lin stood behind and watched all this, seeing all the scenes in front of her eyes. She had no expression on her face and could not see any emotion. It seems that he is very sure about this time. The Hokage coalition was not afraid at all, because they knew that someone behind them was there to fight against them with the same force. At this time, Yi Lin frowned, and he summoned Ishida Yulong, intending to fight with him. Dead Mo was stunned for a moment, but soon returned to his icy expression. He will not lose. However, Yi Lin summoned the hooked puppet 533, as if he was unconscious and went mad, and attacked Black Death Mo. Of course, Black Death Mo was not to be outdone, the blade in his hand never flinched. He launched a frantic attack towards Shishin Yulong, the light and shadow like a knife, like a flower, blooming little by little, falling into his eyes. Suddenly, he began to panic, because the first two battlefields consumed too much power, and now, he is a little powerless. Black Death Mo Chang endured and used his last strength to fight against it. But he knew that this time, he would definitely lose. Even if you lose, so what? In a trance, his pupils shrunk, and he received a heavy blow, like a fallen petal, but it fell. Advertisement yes, black to death, he lost. At the same time, Yi Lin, who saw the end of the battle, had a smile on his face. That smile was extremely cold, and Death Mo couldn't help shivering. Is afraid. Black Death Mo knew his strength, so he was destined to lose to him, and he also knew that. Yes. Yi Lin took back the summoned puppet and walked forward step by step, looking at the person kneeling on the ground. His smile became even more obvious. Death Mo was stunned for a moment, but quickly regained his calm expression. He smiled back at him, expressing his unwillingness. Black Death Mo will always win, although this time he lost, but it doesn't matter, there will always be a chance. Yi Lin just looked at him condescendingly, looking at the tragic state of failure at this time, and after a long time, he turned around. The Hokage allied forces are rushing towards him. For a time, he was surrounded by a lot of things, and this feeling was indescribable. He slowly walked towards the back, trying to break through the heavy siege. Being valued by everyone, that kind of admiration in his eyes, with gratitude, Yi Lin felt a kind of warning in his heart. The more Yi Lin walked back, the clearer the figure of that person became. Suddenly, the figure also walked towards him, and the two gradually approached, with a small distance between them. After a long time, the man opened his lips, thanks. It was originally Sakura Io, the head of the Hokage coalition. AGCG, Yi Lin hooked his lips and smiled, and replied casually, you're welcome. Sakura Jingshang looked at the person in front of him and slowly raised his brows. The two of them didn't communicate much, but this time the battle seemed to have brought them closer. Thank you, for your help. Advertisement. Yi Lin frowned slightly when he heard this. You just said it. Say it again. Yi Lin. You're welcome. 19. Yi Lin paused, fixed his feet, turned his head, held the man with his eyes, and waited for the man to continue speaking. I couldn't stop myself at all. I don't understand what that person means. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. I saw the person in front of him frowning tightly and looking at him impatiently. Sakura Jingshang came back to his senses. Looking at his hands and looking at the person in front of him, he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. His face was written. What are you going to do? Do you have anything else to do? But the next second, he was stopped by a voice. Wait, 99. Yi Lin skipped this person, kept calm, and continued to walk forward, wanting to leave, not to care about the person who stopped him just now. But this is what he thinks, whether you will stay or not. Sakura Xiang is not sure, he just wants to test it. Yi Lin looked at his arm that was rotten, raised his eyes, looked up along his arm, and met Sakura Jingshang's pair of dark brown eyes. Sakura Jingshang couldn't help laughing, but he didn't say his purpose, just to rot the person. He knew that if the person wanted to leave, it would be easy. At this time, Sakura Jingshang already knew Yi Lin's strength, and naturally had a crooked mind in his heart, but he looked at the man in front of him again, and wanted to dismiss this idea. Sakura Ayosho wanted to stop the person who was going forward, he thought, and did so. He couldn't understand the man's emotions, but he would rather stop, and he has already stated that he may intend to stay again. Such a face that strangers should not approach, perhaps no matter what he says, this person will not agree, but will be dismissive. However, he was reluctant. Where to find a person with such ability? If he can stay, it will definitely increase his strength. Chapter 317. Invitation to join. You don't have to be polite with me, it's just a matter of hand, Yi Lin replied. Yi Lin didn't like Black Death in the first place, but this time he happened to meet him, so he must take a good breath. Even if he didn't encounter the Hokage coalition this time, Yi Lin would still help. Sakura Jingshang. Hearing Yi Lin's answer, he was reminded how happy he was, because the words of Yi Lin just now were only implicit in his ears. Anyway, thanks to you this time, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have been able to defeat the Year of the Black Ox in such a short time, Sakura said. What their Hokage coalition needs most right now is someone like Lin Lin. No matter what difficulties they encounter, they will not give up easily, and their strength is also online. Apart from Yi Lin, Sakura Jingshang really didn't know where else to find such a good candidate. Thinking of this, Sakura Jingshang couldn't help but come up with such an idea in Ishin. Sakura Jingshang wanted Yi Lin to join them. Yi Lin didn't know how to answer after listening to Sakura Jing's words. He was not a pushy person himself, and he felt a little uncomfortable facing so many people's attention. Yi Lin, there is actually something I wanted to tell you a long time ago, but I never had the chance, Sakura Ioichi said. Yi Lin looked at him suspiciously, not knowing what Sakura Jing Shoichi was talking about. What's the matter? If you have something to say, just say it. I don't have anything to do now, Yi Lin replied. He thought he was going to fight again. Sakura Shoichi took a few steps forward and said, I want to invite you to join us, 12. As soon as these words came out, the others behind Sakura Shoichi were also a little surprised, because none of them knew about this beforehand. Thank you for your kindness, but I'll just forget it, Yi Lin answered Sakura Ioichi almost immediately, without any hesitation. Advertisement Sakura's face was a little ugly after hearing this, but he quickly adjusted himself. The Hokage Coalition is a very well-trained team. I'm used to being free and loose, so I'm going to disturb you guys, Yi Lin said with a smile. Hearing what he said, Sakura Shoichi couldn't say anything else, so he could only smile awkwardly. Well, I respect your decision, but if you go back on it, you can come to us at any time. We all welcome you, Sakura Jingshang, seriously. In fact, in the final analysis, Sakura Shoichi was also prepared to be rejected because he knew Yi Lin. Yi Lin nodded and said, okay. They said a few more casual words, and then parted. Yi Lin kept walking along the road. Suddenly, he heard some trivial voices. Based on past experience, Yi Lin quickly reacted. This was definitely not an ordinary voice. He leaned on his waist and approached cautiously, holding his breath, not daring to make a little noise. Getting closer, Yi Lin looked in through the gap in the leaves, and it turned out to be the man in black. Yi Lin really wondered in his heart, why did he meet the Black Cloak here? It is really a narrow path, Yi Lin thought to himself. However, Yi Lin still saw the man standing opposite the man in the black cloak. He didn't know that. It turned out that the Black Cloak was communicating with his own political party. For a time, Yi Lin really wanted to rush over and ask what they were talking about. Yi Lin didn't know what to talk about. If they had this skill, they might as well go back to practice quickly. 0. For flowers. Advertisement forget it, since they don't dare to talk openly, then I will listen carefully here to hear how much they have to say, Yi Lin thought to himself. Those Hokage coalitions are so damn it, immune to death, the party said to the Black Mantle. The Black Cloak also frowned tightly, looking helpless, and said, they are really difficult to deal with, the special police is that Yi Lin, why is there him everywhere? 99 When Yi Lin heard them mentioning himself, the corners of his mouth could not help but rise, and he said to them in his heart, then who made me so powerful? Don't blame me if you can't do it yourself, okay? He listened to the Black Cloak and continued. Forget it, since that guy Yi Lin is so difficult to deal with, then we won't start with him. 19. What do you mean by that? The loser asked. Let's take the Hokage coalition directly, don't we have to? Let's go over now and catch them off guard, Black Cloak said with high spirits, as if he was not the one who just lost. After hearing the words of the Black Cloak, the losing party increased their confidence and said, okay, you are right. Since this is the case, what is our plan? That's not easy. The Hokage coalition is not just those few people. Aside from Yi Lin, how many are our opponents? Hey Cloak said with great disdain. Yi Lin listened next to him and almost laughed, but he still held back, not wanting to be discovered by them. However, what the Black Cloak said just now was too funny. Yi Lin really didn't know who gave him the courage to say such a thing. Okay, you're right. The coalition occupying Hokage is just a matter of waving our hands. It doesn't take us much effort at all. Chapter 318 Sudden Escape. The Black Cloak was slightly startled when he saw Yi Lin and then frowned. Yi Lin noticed this person and moved slightly to the side, thinking about opening some gaps with this person. Yes, he didn't really want to communicate with this person. No matter how he looked at it, he felt a little strange. Instinctively want to stay away. Seeing Yi Lin, the Black Cloak immediately launched an attack. If Yi Lin hadn't slid away quickly, he would have been hit by this move. What does this mean? Yi Lin smiled slightly, but did not see any annoyance. Those dark red lips pursed tightly, as if to say a few more words, that is, 533. The Black Cloak didn't say anything, but he just launched an attack blindly. Yi Lin didn't know when he offended this man, so he insisted on pressing him step by step, forcing him to be a fisherman. I don't want to fight with you. He really didn't want to do it. He had just been in a big battle, and he was indeed a little nervous. Besides, he was fighting against this body in time, and he was afraid that he would have to rest for a long time. But this person didn't mean to stop. Yi Lin got down and started to fight with this person. This Black Cloak is also strange to think about. Why did Yi Lin keep evading him every step of the way, instead of doing it himself? But what he didn't expect, he was suddenly counterattacked. The Black Cloak took a few steps back and looked at the person in front of him with some doubts. He was puzzled. Yi Lin didn't intend to let it go. This fight was caused by chasing him, and he was pressing step by step with a Black Cloak, so it's no wonder he. I have no grudges with your excellency. Why do you do this? The black cloak sneered and didn't say much, but he was going to fight him again. Advertisement. Yi Lin looked at the person in front of him and smiled faintly. He had nothing to do with this person, but for some reason, he just had to get along with him. Stop talking nonsense, take the trick. 33. After the black cloak finished saying this, he attacked him. Yi Lin looked at the person who was running towards him and moved slightly to the side. Yes, he ducked. The black cloak was stunned, turned to look at the person next to him, and then sneered. I didn't expect you to be so timid. Why are you avoiding me? If I didn't avoid you, would I let you be beaten to death? With a smile on the corner of the black cloak's mouth, he walked towards Yi Lin coldly. Although he was smiling, his face was indeed extremely cold. There are two words all over the body. Danger. Yi Lin frowned slightly and stepped back a little. He didn't want to continue entanglement with this person, but this person was not dying, so he had to fight and sew him up. You have to fight me. Yi Lin's sentence is a declarative sentence, without any doubts. Yes, he was stating a fact, not asking. That's natural. After he finished speaking, the black cloak continued to move. Yi Lin took a deep breath, he didn't say too much, and started to fight. He asked for it himself. The two began to launch a violent attack, and in the eyes of outsiders, the two of them seemed to be on the same level. Yes, the two of them were tied. This made the black cloak a little surprised. They thought that this person was a bit powerful, but they didn't expect that I would actually be able to draw a tie for myself. Advertisement. Yi Lin's expression didn't change in any way, but, seeing the tricks, he didn't act ruthlessly. He had just experienced a big battle, and he didn't have much physical strength to go down with this person. If it weren't for this people are pressing step by step, he must not be able to do it. I didn't want to fight with you. Suddenly, Yi Lin said this sentence. The man smiled coldly. But you have already done it now, and you have no room to go back. This sentence is very obvious, that is, to fight with him all the time, just have to decide the outcome. Yi Lin didn't show weakness either. Since he wanted to fight, he should fight well. Yi Lin turned the defense into an attack, and pushed the black cloak to the corner step by step, but the black cloak did not mean to admit defeat, and struggled frantically. Yi Lin sneered coldly, over his own strength, he thought in his heart. But, suddenly, the black cloak jumped and fled. He fled? The black cloak was extremely fast, and soon disappeared. Yi Lin let go of this person so easily, and immediately followed him. However, the center encountered the Hokage coalition. Yi Lin frowned and looked around with some doubts. Why did these people hug him and help the man in the black cloak? Why did you stop me in 2.6? These people didn't speak, they just stood around him quietly. Yi Lin's hands with them would definitely consume more physical strength. He just wanted a good rest now, and didn't want to have too many fights. If it wasn't for the black cloak just now, he would definitely take a nap under the tree over there. Yi Lin snorted coldly and stopped looking at the people around him. Naturally, he was a little annoyed in his heart, but he was quickly suppressed by this question. Why? Why help this mysterious man? Yi Lin was puzzled and wanted to know the answer very much, but the strangest person around him was like a wood, and he didn't say a word. Chapter 319. Yi Lin thought for a while, but couldn't help but ask. Why don't you speak? These Hokages just stood around here quietly, and didn't do anything with him, just stopped him like this, didn't let him go forward, and chased that person. Yi Lin suddenly became annoyed. Originally it was just a question, but suddenly looking at these people, he was inexplicably angry in his heart. Why? Why are you ignoring your love? He clearly helped them just now. If it wasn't for him, they would have been injured, and the injury would not be minor, but now he suddenly turned around to help the police. What's with his face? Speak. 99. These people remained silent. Yi Lin couldn't help but feel anxious, but he carefully observed this person, frowning tightly. It turned out to be Charge. Yi Lin attacked them violently, and they would naturally fight back, and they had to be controlled. It is here to stop himself. That must be the mysterious man in the black cloak. However, this is just a guess, and he doesn't know the specific 06. Yi Lin and this Hokage continued to fight, and I don't know how long it took to defeat that event. That Hokage was like a machine, just fighting with him blindly, as if he didn't know the pain, until he was hit hard, suddenly fell to the ground, and couldn't stand up again. Seems to be a little bit conscious. Yi Lin seemed to have forgotten the black cloak and put all his attention on this Hokage. Why is this man like this? It seems that he is not a bad person. After all, he has just helped them. Speaking of which, they should thank themselves. Never do it yourself. Looking at the greedy and dying appearance of Go Yan in front of you, he couldn't help but soften his heart, and then stretched his frown. Yi Lin stepped forward to support the man and began to ask. Advertisement. Who are you? That Hokage glanced at the person above his head, then was stunned. There was a thin layer of mist in his eyes. He just regained consciousness, regained his senses, and felt that there was some pain in his body, which was caused by a physiological reaction. Mist. I still feel that I am concerned about myself, and some are moved. After a while, Yi Lin didn't hear the reply. He lowered his head, looked at this person, and said two words rhyme with thin and cool lips. Who? The man was slightly startled, and slowly said. Hokage. This is just nonsense. Of course he knows. Of course he is asking why he should stop himself, or who are you being controlled by? I just helped you a lot. Why did you do it to me? Being controlled. Sure enough, as he expected, this person was being controlled. He couldn't help feeling a little flustered. He thought, What would happen if there were more people being controlled? He frowned and continued to ask, controlled by whom? When Hokage saw that this man was talking without any hesitation at all, he was slightly taken aback, and then he regained his calm expression. Then say, I do not know either. Yi Lin frowned tightly, and those tight brows could kill a fly. He also didn't know how mysterious this person was, so he didn't feel like he was controlling people. He is being controlled, but who controls him, he doesn't know. It seems that this person is very mysterious, and Yi Lin can't help but think of the black cloak who just confronted him. Could it be really him? But this is just a guess. If it is really him, then it is not easy to find. Advertisement. The man just jumped up and disappeared in front of his eyes. From this, it can be seen that the man escaped very fast, and he must have done it often, so if you want to find this person, it must be very difficult. They looked down at what was in front of them, and a few words were spit out from their thin and cool lips. Tell me in detail. Hokage seemed to be in a daze, and he spoke in a dazed manner. This is what happens when someone takes a mysterious pill. A mysterious pill. Yi Lin couldn't help but start to think, just one pill can make people lose their minds and turn into a fighting machine. What a great pill to use. Can you see that man? The Hokage shook his head. He had never seen the man clearly. Yi Lin continued to ask, your name? 93-533, Ida. You just said that because you took that mysterious pill, you lost your mind and consciousness, and then you were controlled. 99. Ida nodded blankly, not looking like a Hokage, but a silly child. That's right, he has always been controlled by people's mind, just like a machine, and now he suddenly has consciousness. He is still a little unfamiliar with the surrounding environment. Moreover, suddenly there was such a strange person in front of him, so he was still a little wary and a little scared. However, he hid these fears and vigilance in his heart, and did not show the hook. The pain in his body came, and then he realized that he had just been fighting with others. Now, he also realized that he had just fought with the person in front of him. This person not only did not kill him, but also came to support him. I want to find that person. Yi Lin suddenly said this sentence, so that Ida did not respond. He actually just wanted to find that black cloak. Chapter 320. The Hokage Coalition. All the things that happened recently really made Yi Lin feel very headache. The various forces are constantly fighting each other, and there are even people who are constantly disrupting the entire situation behind their backs. Even though Yi Lin's ability is relatively strong now, he still feels very troubled when faced with many difficulties. I never imagined that even a person with such high abilities as Hokage would be forced to take a mysterious pill, and now he has been in a state of unconsciousness. Then the situation they all face now will be even more dangerous. Yi Lin must think of a way to deal with it as soon as possible, so that all the hidden ins and outs behind it are all clear. Those people are too cunning, they are constantly hiding in the dark, and when Yi Lin relaxes their vigilance, they will suddenly attack. Yi Lin felt very worried when he saw Ida unconscious in front of him. He decided to bring Ida to the Hokage Coalition first, so that the Hokage could be healed. Since the establishment of the Hokage Coalition, it has begun to gradually develop and grow. So there will be all kinds of people around their team, which of course also includes a part of the medical Hokage. If Yi Lin sent Ida over, even if the people on their side couldn't immediately think of a solution. But at least they can use medical ninjutsu to slow down their Hokage to some extent. After all, Ida is a member of the entire Hokage Coalition, and it is impossible for all of them to sit idly by. When Yi Lin came to the place where the Hokage Coalition was, the others immediately felt the abnormal situation and quickly surrounded. Advertisement. What exactly happened? Why did Jing Tian suddenly faint? Hurry up and call the medical captain to come over for treatment. The members of the Hokage Coalition became very panicked after seeing their Hokage Lord comatose. He kept exclaiming, and then called all the medical Hokage next to him. The medical Hokage immediately came to Yi Lin's side, and one of the women was the captain of the medical team. She quickly walked to Ida's side, then stretched out her hands and placed them on Ida's chest. As she activated the medical ninjutsu, a thick green glow began to grow between her hands. This is Hokage's technique of combining medicine and ninjutsu, allowing the injured to be treated in a very short time. Even some life-threatening situations can make a big difference right away. After these rays of light came out, they covered Jing Tian's body. After a while, Jing Tian's complexion finally became better, not as pale and bloodless as before. But despite this, he still did not wake up from the coma. This made the people next to him even more worried. Captain, what the hell is going on? Why hasn't Jing Tian been awake? The other Hokage next to him had been waiting very anxiously, and then couldn't help but ask the medical captain. Advertisement. Because the use of medical ninjutsu is also a very expensive experience, so now a layer of fine sweat has gradually emerged on the forehead of the medical captain. I have no way of figuring out the specifics. Now I am trying my best to treat it, but it seems that the effect is extremely limited. The medical captain shook his head at the other people next to him. Now Jing Tian is in this state, and she has no way to make him fully recover. He just exerted all his strength to slow down the erosion of the internal organs by the poison in Jing Tian's body. At this time, as soon as Sakura Jingshang came to Yi Lin's side, he showed a very grateful expression when he saw Yi Lin brought Jing Tian over. He knew that Yi Lin was also a capable person, and it was really a pity that he had not been able to join his Hokage coalition before. And now he brought a member of his own to the band gap, so from this perspective, Yi Lin is still a kind-hearted person. Yi Lin, thank you so much for sending Jing Tian here, otherwise, he might be in great danger. Right, I also want to know what happened to him before, Li Haohao, and he will be poisoned like this. Sakura Jingshang and Yi Lin didn't know what happened to them, so now they can only learn about the actual situation by asking Yi Lin Seam. Ida was forcibly fed a mysterious pill before, so he fell into a coma. Before, he was controlled and attacked me. If I didn't react in time, he might have suffered more serious injuries. Yi Lin talked about everything that happened between him and Jing Tian before, and let Sakurai Sho know about it. After hearing Yi Lin's explanation, Sakurai Shoichi nodded. Chapter 321. It seems that fortunately, Jing Tian met Yi Lin before. If other people attacked him, they would probably have been seriously injured by now. Then it's even more warning that after the battle with Jing Tian, the special police will kindly send her to the Hokage coalition. Sakura Jingshang glanced at Jing Tian next to him, and his heart was full of emotion. Now the outside world has become chaotic, even if their Hokage coalition has great fighting power. But in the face of many scenes, there is still a feeling of being unable to cope. So every time I see a member injured, Sakurai Shoichi's heart is very uncomfortable. Yi Lin, this time you finally came to our place, just rest for a few more days, and the two of us can also have a good talk. 22. After all, the situation we are facing now can be said to be very severe, and there should be some opportunities to ask questions later. Sakura Jingshang turned his head again and issued an invitation to Yi Lin. They haven't been together for a long time since they separated. If Yi Lin hadn't sent Jing Tian here this time, they wouldn't have the chance to see each other again. So Sakurai Shoishin cherishes such an opportunity. If he can have a deep conversation with Yi Lin, he will also gain a lot of information. Yi Lin shook his head again and again after hearing the invitation from Sakurai's suspicion. No, I have other things to deal with. Now that I see that Jing Tian is safe, and you are all there to take care of him, then I am relieved. Yi Lin sent Jing Tian to the Hokage coalition, so his goal was achieved. He doesn't have time now, so he does too much AGCG stay here, must leave as soon as possible. Advertisement. There are still many things waiting for him to do, and he will investigate what those people are planning to do. Through their own continuous efforts, the world is still in peace. Otherwise, if this situation continues, I don't know how serious it will be. Well, if that's the case, then you should pay attention to safety along the way. The situation outside is really too complicated. 9. Sakura Jingshang looked at Yi Lin with a very firm attitude, knowing that he could not persuade him. He can only open his mouth to explain, let him be vigilant of the surrounding environmental protection and his own safety at any time. Yi Lin nodded slightly to Sakura Jingshang. Then he suddenly thought of the previous struggle with the Black Death, and always felt that the other party was planning a big conspiracy. Although he still has no way to fully understand what it is, he should at least be mentally prepared. As long as there is any change, take precautions immediately. Now that Sakura Isho and the other Hokages are by his side, it is necessary for Yi Lin to tell them to pay more attention. Right, I have one more thing to tell you. Those underworld forces are constantly on the move, and they seem to be planning some shocking plan. You must be careful to deal with their plans. Yi Lin just told Sakura about the worries in his heart, so that they should have a certain vigilance in their hearts in advance. After speaking, he turned and left the Hokage coalition camp. Looking at Yi Lin's retreating back, Sakura Jingshang knew that this reminder from Yi Lin was very necessary. Immediately he sent a message to all the Hokage coalition forces for everyone to be on their guard. Advertisement. Once you find any abnormal situation around you, immediately report it to yourself, and then organize manpower to defend against it. He also knew that those underworld forces, if they acted very quickly, would be very harmful. So now all of their Hokage have to be careful at all times and not be able to relax in the slightest. After Yi Lin left, he kept moving forward, and at the same time he was careful about all the surrounding situations. Now that those black forces have spread to every corner, it is very likely that they have secretly sent people to follow them. If Yi Lin finds out that the other party has manpower, he must take immediate action and implement countermeasures. Otherwise, you will fall into a passive situation, which is a very unfavorable situation. After walking a long way, he passed a valley when he saw a man lying there. Yi Lin immediately stepped forward to check and found that it was Uchiha Sasuke who was injured. Unexpectedly, Sasuke was also attacked by the enemy. Looking at this, he should have escaped into this mountain shell. Yi Lin stepped forward immediately and gave Sasuke some simple emergency assistance. Sasuke, are you all right? Do you feel better now? 22. Yi Lin asked Uchiha Sasuke very anxiously. He helped Uchiha Sasuke to a big rock and leaned down gently. No big problem. 99. Sasuke coughed lightly, indicating that although he was seriously injured, he was not worried about his life. After examining it carefully, Yi Lin realized that Uchiha Sasuke had also taken the kind of pills that Ida was forced to take. Chapter 322. But seeing the state of the two now, Yi Lin knew that there was a big gap between Jing Tian and Uchiha Sasuke. He also took that mysterious pill, but today he was quickly controlled by someone, turned into a puppet, and launched an attack on himself. After being defeated by Yi Lin, he fell into a coma. Even though the captain of the medical class treated him for a long time, he was still unable to regain his awake state. But Uchiha Sasuke is completely different. Although he also took that kind of pill, he was not under the control of the enemy. Even seeing the wound on Uchiha Sasuke's body, Yi Lin guessed that he should have been fighting Fang for a long time. And also escaped here, even though his current physical condition is also very weak. But to be able to do this step is already very powerful. Seeing that the two of them had taken that mysterious pill at the same time, Yi Lin felt very confused for a while. He doesn't know the origin of that kind of pill, although it will be produced in large quantities. And looking at it like this, it should have a great damage effect on the human body. These people are already very capable, but they still fall into the trap of the enemy. All of them are on the verge of being very dangerous. If they hadn't met Yi Lin at this time, they would probably not have been able to save their lives. Sasuke, what the hell is going on? Why did you even take that kind of pill? Yi Lin squatted beside Sasuke, looked at Sasuke eagerly, and then asked. I want to learn some relevant information from Sasuke and see if I can find the clues of those black forces. Now that Yi Lin has made up his mind to break all those people's conspiracies and stop their actions. Advertisement, then he can let go of anything suspicious. As long as it is related to the underworld, he will conduct a very detailed investigation. Only in this way can we follow the path of investigation, and then we can destroy the huge harm that the black forces are about to cause at the fastest speed. After hearing Yi Lin's question, Sasuke was also very confused, and now he is completely confused. And although there is nothing serious, but the body is still very uncomfortable. Besides, fighting with those people before has already made him feel exhausted. It is very difficult to respond to Yi Lin's question at this time. Just when Sasuke forcibly stabilized his emotions, he wanted to recall the various things that happened before and see how to answer Yi Lin. There was a figure flickering in the mountains and forests not far away, with a sneaky appearance. It seemed that he should have followed Yi Lin to this side. Yi Lin immediately sensed something was wrong, stood up from the spot, and looked into the distance. Who is it? Come out quickly, don't hide. Yi Lin stretched out his finger and pointed to the woods, and asked loudly. Now the behavior of these people is always hiding their actions like this, making Yi Lin feel a little unpredictable. The SWAT police wanted to pierce the conspiracy of the underworld, so they couldn't let other people know the actual situation. Now being followed, it has already touched Yi Lin's bottom line. The person who followed him had to pay a certain price, and the later plans could be implemented. 0. Ask for flowers. Otherwise, it is still unknown when this person will follow him. Advertisement may be where he goes, the other party will follow. All the information that Yi Lin spied on, the other party will know immediately if it is reported to the black forces. Then everything Yi Lin did was a waste of time and energy and would not have any effect. What's more, if the other party knows his plan, it will become even worse. Maybe the black forces will launch a surprise attack and directly destroy them. The man hiding in the woods heard Yi Lin's questioning voice and knew that he had been exposed now. Of course, he couldn't continue to stay here. His tracking operation this time could be said to be a failure. You can only leave immediately. If you are caught by Yi Lin, it will be very dangerous. I saw that he immediately turned around and ran in the other direction of the woods. His footsteps were very flustered. He did not expect that Yi Lin would actually discover his whereabouts at this time. Where is it so easy to go? Yi Lin snorted coldly and then quickly rushed towards the man. When he came to the front, Yi Linjin finally saw the face of the other party clearly. It turns out that this person is Hokage, who was with the mysterious man before. So what kind of thing is he investigating and what is the purpose of following Yi Lin? Yi Lin must now catch the other party and interrogate him well. The other party should be using Hokage's identity as a guise, but in fact it may be doing something to connect with the underworld. Chapter 323 Black Forces. The man's escape was very chaotic, and Shu Xie Lin suddenly discovered his whereabouts, making him a little at a loss. But now Yi Lin is showing extreme anger from Ji. In any case, his whereabouts are completely impossible to let the other party know. In the blink of an eye, Yi Lin had already rushed in front of the man. Since you have followed me here, if you don't make things clear, you will dream of leaving easily. What conspiracy are you guys planning behind your back, and what is your purpose in doing this? Yi Lin suddenly stopped on the other side's escape path, blocking his 533 path. Let this Hokage have no way to escape. HMPH, even if you find me, you won't be able to learn any information from me. Even if I risk my life, I won't reveal a word. This Hokage took out a short sword and held it in his hand, looking at Yi Lin coldly. Of course, he was very aware of the gap between the two. If there was a fight, he would have no way to resist Yi Lin's attack. But now he has no choice, either to find other opportunities to escape. Either he was arrested by Yi Lin for interrogation, but in this case, he would be a dead end. Because if Yi Lin didn't get any useful answers from himself, he would most likely end his life. Or even if he wants to speak out, other people hiding in secret will definitely kill him in the shortest possible time. Since he is a member of that organization, he also understands very well that all the people are vicious SWAT officers. It will not leave any clues to Yi Lin's side, even if the people who were sent to follow them fall into Yi Lin's hands, they will be killed immediately. Advertisement, so now he can only choose to fight with Yi Lin, maybe they will find an opportunity to escape during the battle. It seems that you still don't have a certain consciousness. If that's the case, then I can only give you a little pain first. Yi Lin looked at this Hokage, not only did not answer his own question, but produced a short sword, looking like he wanted to fight against him. He no longer hesitated, immediately jumped up, approached quickly, and then punched and asked. The two quickly collided, and a phantom erupted in the field. Yi Lin's fist slammed into the opponent's chest, and when it was about to touch his body, the Hokage's short sword hurt Yi Lin's armpit. Yi Lin stumbled to dodge, and then swept away from the side. The battle between the two of them broke out with a very strong shockwave. Even the sturdy trees around were chopped off by this momentum. Immediately, the field was in chaos, and it had become very messy. That Hokage rhyme is very ferocious, constantly piercing the vital parts of the leaves. Now is his only chance. If he is captured by Yi Lin, he has no chance of surviving. There are 2 times, your skills are so good, why do you want to mix with those forces? You should make the right choice, instead of being in the dark all the time, working for the tiger. You have to know that if you do hurtful things with those people, in the end, you won't have a good end. Yi Lin saw the other party's desperate appearance, and his skills were also very strong. So in the process of fighting, he continued to persuade him, trying to make that person make the right choice. Instead of working for those underworld forces all the time. Advertisement. Yi Lin is now guessing that it is possible that the identity of the other party Hokage is fake, and he is just borrowing such an identity to inquire about news. The expression on his face has become very frightened now, and he found that no matter what kind of attack he made, it would have no effect on Yi Lin. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. In this way, the clues that Yi Lin had managed to entangle with the master were immediately cut off. In a corner not far away, there was a sudden epidemic, and the shuriken flew over and pierced straight into the heart of Hokage 2.6. Yi Lin had no choice but to come beside Uchiha Sasuke. After the two had fought dozens of moves, Yi Lin had lost his patience, and it seemed that the other party was obsessed. It can also be regarded as a pawn placed by the black forces on their side. Immediately blood poured out, and the Hokage fell to the ground and lost his life. That Hokage was accidentally captured by Yi Lin. He began to think carefully about the various things he had experienced before, and then told Yi Lin the reason. It turns out that there is a black force called the Arch, which is a mysterious force that can deprive Hokage ninjutsu. Yi Lin controlled the other party and wanted to interrogate him and get some useful information from it. Uchiha Sasuke also regained some sanity after the rest just now. Yi Lin quickly approached the man in a flash, and then punched him on the shoulder. But at this time, he relaxed some vigilance. For them, there is a very huge threat. Although that person heard Yi Lin say such words, he still turned a deaf ear and continued to attack. Chapter 324. A little out of control at this time, Uchiha Sasuke was already showing some signs of being out of control, and Uchiha Sasuke's own sanity seemed to be out of his control. Even Uchiha Sasuke felt it himself, so he kept his distance from Yi Lin until Uchiha Sasuke lost control. Yi Lin also noticed a little about Uchiha Sasuke, but Yi Lin couldn't just ignore this matter, so now Yi Lin must hurry up and find a way to see how he can save Uchiha Sasuke. You ignore me first. It turns out that I don't know what I will do next. Don't come over during this time, let me fend for myself, Uchiha Sasuke said. Uchiha Sasuke felt a lot of pain because Uchiha Sasuke was completely out of his control now. Yi Lin shook his head and said to Uchiha Sasuke, "Don't worry, you cheer up first, so, I will go to the wizard first, and when the witch doctor comes, I will definitely be able to help you." 06 The witch doctor is a medicine that can be made to save Uchiha Sasuke, although it should not be able to completely cure his illness, but it can restore his sanity in a short time. But Uchiha Sasuke shook his head, although he said that he could control himself temporarily, but so what, anyway, sooner or later, he would have to carry this thing back to control it, so Uchiha Sasuke felt that he might as well die. If you want me to tell you, just kill me directly. Living in the world like this is really too Zheng Shao, I think I'm going to be unable to hold on anymore, Uchiha Sasuke said. Uchiha Sasuke really feels that she is very helpless, and in the face of such a situation, she has nothing to do. Although she said that she does not want to hurt the police, but many times, what Uchiha Sasuke can do is beyond his own decision, let alone policemen. Advertisement. Yi Lin shook his head to him and said, "You were worried about the police first. After I finish the matter here, I will definitely come to save you, but now I will go find an antidote for you first." Yi Lin also had no antidote, and now only the witch doctor Ji can save Uchiha Sasuke, so Yi Lin was still a little anxious at this time, but he never thought that at this time Uchiha Sasuke was completely out of control. In order not to hurt Uchiha Sasuke, Yi Lin knocked Uchiha Sasuke unconscious in advance, put him on the bed, and locked all the doors in the room. Before leaving, Yi Lin said in front of Uchiha Sasuke, "Don't worry, I will definitely be able to save you, you have to, before I come back, don't move like this." In fact, Yi Lin is not worried about leaving Uchiha Sasuke here alone, but it is really dangerous in this situation, so I have to let Uchiha Sasuke stay here alone. It is estimated that this should be the case, and looking at the reluctance of the witch doctor, but he can only help them with things, Yi Lin felt that his guess should be correct. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. After that, Yi Lin found a time when no one was there and knocked out the 2 Hokages in front of him. Yeah, those people arrested me just so that I could give them medicine day and night. If it's true, I've never seen such a person. The witch doctor was a little angry, but the witch doctor didn't have it before. Police method. The witch doctor also had some wounds. It is estimated that these Hokages also need this medicine made by the witch doctor, so they said that the witch doctor was arrested and forced to do this. Advertisement after Yen came. Yi Lin asked, "Did they arrest you and ask you to make medicine for them?" Yi Lin said to the witch doctor, "Don't worry, I have rescued you now, and I will never let those people take you away again." 93. The witch doctor seems to have been injured, and has been doing something over there, and there are also Hokage watching around. After that, Yi Lin planned to find the witch doctor, but when he arrived, he found that the witch doctor was not here at all. After that, Yi Lin searched around here for a long time, and finally found that there was a witch doctor in Hokage. There. In order not to be discovered by these Hokages, Yi Lin watched for a while beside the witch doctor. When Yi Lin reacted, he realized that the witch doctor was being forced to make medicine by these people. Sure enough, after hearing Yi Lin's words, the witch doctor was a little sad, but he was more fortunate. After arriving here, Yi Lin quickly brought the witch doctor back. Fortunately, the journey was relatively smooth, and there was no danger of encountering any special police. If I meet a few Hokages at this time, it is really not good. Deal with. Looks a little more serious, but now that this matter has been discovered by Yi Lin, it is impossible to let them continue to do so. It is estimated that the witch doctor should have stayed here for a while, so the people here will continue to be so lax in the management of the witch doctor, so that Yi Lin easily got the opportunity. After all, the witch doctor doesn't have that much ability to fight against these people. In this case, Yi Lin can get back the antidote as soon as possible to avoid Uchiha Sasuke from completely out of control. Chapter 325 Going Alone. You have something to do with me this time. Otherwise, how could you suddenly come to me? The witch doctor asked. The witch doctor also knew that Yi Lin definitely couldn't come to him for no reason, so if the witch doctor guessed it all at once, Yi Lin must have something to do with him. Without denying it, Yi Lin said quickly, "Yes, I have a friend who has a gap now. We may need your medicine. I wonder if you can hurry up and help me make this medicine, friend." Now Uchiha Sasuke is still in that place by himself, and he doesn't know if he will encounter any danger at this time. Yi Lin is a little worried, so at this time, Yi Lin hopes to find the witch doctor quickly. That way, Uchiha Sasuke would be less offended. "Has your friend lost control too?" asked the witch doctor. Although Yi Lin didn't want such a thing to happen, but there was nothing he could do, it had already happened, so I can only ask the witch doctor to rush over to help Uchiha Sasuke treat him tonight. Yeah, just think of a way to help treat it, because there really is no other way now, Yi Lin said. Apart from the witch doctor who lives outside, I can't think of anyone who can help me, so now I can only put all my hopes on the witch doctor. If only the witch doctor could help Yi Lin. Since you just walked around me, I should help you now. If that's the case, let's go quickly, the witch doctor said. Now their time is running out, they have to go back and see how Uchiha Sasuke is doing now. Advertisement after that, Yi Lin took the witch doctor to the hut where they were before. When they got here, Uchiha Sasuke was still fainting, so the witch doctor quickly went to check on Uchiha Sasuke. Then the witch doctor took a pill from his pocket and put it in Uchiha Sasuke's mouth. If I want to play this game, I can only guarantee that Uchiha Sasuke will be fine for the time being, but it doesn't mean that Uchiha Sasuke will be like this for a long time, so you must quickly think of other ways to continue, said the witch doctor. Now that Uchiha Sasuke is being controlled a bit seriously, even a witch doctor, there is no way for the police to help. Uchiha Sasuke can help Uchiha Sasuke now, but only Yi Lin. Yi Lin frowned. Can't you think of any way to let him completely remove such control? Yi Lin nodded. Then please take care of Uchiha Sasuke here for a while, I'll think of other ways. After that, Yi Lin warned the witch doctor again, and then he chose to come to the popular nest. Don't worry, you can leave the matter here to me, don't think about other things, you have to be careful on your side, said the witch doctor. Originally, Yi Lin thought that if the witch doctor came early today, he should be able to help Uchiha Sasuke, but he never thought that even the witch doctor could not completely cure this matter. After Yi Lin arranged the affairs here, he, Li Haohao, went to the archer's nest alone. So no matter how difficult this matter is, Yi Lin has to find a way to completely cure Uchiha Sasuke. Advertisement. It is estimated that there is only this popular nest, and it should be possible to find the antidote for Uchiha Sasuke, so in any case, no matter how dangerous it is, Yi Lin will definitely try his best to avoid it. Moreover, Yi Lin also knew that Uchiha Sasuke didn't like being controlled. He often felt that after Uchiha Sasuke lost control, he would be very irritable. Ring. You still have to find another way to deal with this matter. No matter how good I am, there is really nothing I can do, the witch doctor said. Now Yi Lin needs to go to other places to help Uchiha Sasuke find a solution to this matter, so he must leave a puppet here to help, otherwise, it is estimated that there will be some danger at that time. This time I want to leave Yi Lin, and I don't know how long I will be away, so I have to go ahead and arrange everything directly. The witch doctor had the intention to help them. After all, Rao Yelin had just saved himself, but in this situation, the witch doctor really had no way to help them. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Fortunately, Uchiha Sasuke is still fainting and has not woken up. Otherwise, if Uchiha Sasuke knows that he is likely to be controlled by this kind of thing all the time, Yi Lin estimates that Uchiha Sasuke will definitely want to die even more. Yi Lin then summoned his puppet. In recent days, Yi Lin has been in frequent contact with Uchiha Sasuke, and he also knows Uchiha Sasuke, because this matter has been a headache recently, but there is nothing he can do. I will trouble you to take care of my friend during this time. I will try to find other ways. I will trouble you during this time. If there is any danger, let my puppet find me immediately, Yi Lin said. The witch doctor was kidnapped by those people before, and Yi Lin came to save Yun, so the witch doctor was very grateful to Yi Lin and was willing to help Yi Lin. Chapter 326 Undiscovered. After arriving at the popular nest, Yi Lin was also extra careful, because Yi Lin did not forget what a dangerous place he was living in after he arrived here. There are many people patrolling here in the popular nest. After all, this is their nest, and they must watch it anyway. So when Yi Lin came here, he was a little cautious. Yi Lin had never been here before, so he didn't know much about the terrain here. Now he can only rely on Yi Lin's luck to continue to explore. Fortunately, the construction structure here is basically the same as the construction structure of other buildings Yi Lin had seen before, so after arriving here, basically Yi Lin is not harmful. At this moment, the two Hokages seemed to see Yi Lin, and they immediately became vigilant. What are you doing? What are you doing here all of a sudden, saying you have a 550 purpose? The two Hokages immediately began to question. How could Yi Lin answer them here in order not to attract others, so Yi Lin immediately knocked out the two Hokages. Although it was said that the action was relatively large, Yi Lin looked around again and found that there were no people around. It was estimated that their patrolling should be changing shifts at this time, so the guard was relatively simple. Because of this, Yi Lin was relieved that he was not found, and dragged the two Hokage who had been knocked out by Yi Lin into the corner. After that, Yi Lin continued to walk along this place and came to a place similar to a prison. Yi Lin found that there were many people locked in it. Advertisement. Moreover, these people seem to be living a very difficult life now. They have serious wounds on their bodies. Even if they are far away from these people, Yi Lin can see the wounds on their bodies clearly. One can imagine how they dealt with these captives when Yi Lin didn't see it. Even when Yi Lin opened the wounds on their bodies, they felt a little unbearable, and they didn't know why they dealt with these people like this. So he waited for the guards at his place to relax a little, and then Yi Lin Ji came here quietly. Outside the dungeon, Yi Lin whispered, "Who are you all? Why are you locked up here?" Because Yi Lin also knew that the people in the prison here must be people who have never committed a crime, so he said that if he wanted to give these people away, he would cut them off. Those people in the prison were still a little distrustful when they first saw Yi Lin. They all gathered together and looked at Yi Lin with great vigilance, knowing that Yi Lin had explained his identity and purpose. Ren Ji began to believe in Yi Lin. "Don't worry, I don't mean to dream, I just want me to see if I can find a way to get you. Can you tell me about your current situation, and why are you locked up here?" "AGCG?" Yi Lin asked. 97. So in any case, Yi Lin had to find a way to save these people to Yun. After listening to these people's explanations, Yi Linpeng knew that these people had been severely tortured in this place before. When he heard the people here tell him about their experiences, Yi Lin was very moved. He thought that these people must not be allowed to stay here any longer. Otherwise, over time, these people will definitely be in danger. Advertisement. If Yi Lin is locked here, Yi Lin will definitely find a way to escape anyway, but these people seem to have no intention of escaping at all. "We are all members of the Third Coalition Army. You don't know that the people here are not human at all. After they arrested us here, they have been torturing us here for a week," the people here said with some pain. These people in the prison began to cry, probably because they had not been in contact with the outside world for too long. Yi Lin said, "You don't have to worry too much. Thank you for reading this story at fictionzone.net. Your support enables us to keep the site running." Yi Lin didn't know much about the situation of these people, so he wanted to quickly find out the situation of these people. In the end, they were only mistreated by them, so over time, these people did not dare to have the idea of running away. These people seemed to have thought about it for a long time, and finally decided to tell Yi Lin about their situation here. "Since they treat you like this, don't you think about escaping from this place?" Yi Lin asked. Afterwards, these people showed Yi Lin to dry the wounds on their own bodies, and found that it was really serious, and some of them had scabbed over, but because there was no one to treat them, they said they would slowly start to fester. You must know that these Hokages are ruthless and can do anything. Although these people have not been killed yet, many people have already died here because of torture. Seeing such a scene, Yi Lin couldn't help but be moved.